There is a fog that descends not upon the world, but within the mind. It is a quiet mist that blurs the edges of the path you thought you were on. The landmarks you once used for navigation, success, ambition, the approval of others, they all fade into a soft, grey indistinction. Your compass, the one given to you by the world, spins uselessly in its housing. You are moving, but you do not know your direction. You are functioning, but you do not feel alive. This is the feeling of being lost. It is not a loud crisis, not always a dramatic collapse, but a slow, creeping hollowness. A silent question that echoes in the space between sleep and waking. Is this all there is? You have followed the map, you have ticked the boxes, you have played the game. Yet, there is a profound disconnect, a sense of being a stranger in your own life. This feeling is not a flaw in your character. It is not a failure of your will. It is not about your job, your relationships, or your bank account, not truly. It is a deeper signal, a vibration that is out of tune with the core of your being. It is the soul's quiet rebellion against a life that does not fit. But what if this feeling, this deep and unsettling sense of being lost, is not what it appears to be? What if it is not a sign that you have failed, but a sacred signal that you are being recalled? What if the storm is not here to drown you, but to wash you clean? What if the universe, in its infinite wisdom, is intentionally breaking your compass so that you might learn to navigate by the stars within? This is an invitation to step out of the noise, to enter a quiet space, not to be taught, but to listen, to begin a dialogue with the part of you that has been waiting patiently in the silence. The journey of being rerouted does not begin with a step, but with a pause, a sacred pause. And it begins now. Before the silence, there is the noise. It is the first and most persistent symptom of a life lived off course. It is not the noise of the city, the traffic, or the endless notifications on your screen. Those are merely its echoes, its external reflections. The true noise is internal. It is a low-frequency hum that vibrates in your bones, a constant static that crackles beneath your thoughts, a pressure behind your eyes that never seems to release. It is the sound of your own life force grinding against the grain of your soul. We have been taught to call this feeling stress, anxiety, or burnout. We have been given 1,000 names for it, and 1,000 remedies that treat only the symptoms. We are told to work less, to take a vacation, to practice self-care. But the noise returns, does it not? It returns because it does not originate from the volume of your work, but from the inauthenticity of your actions. It is the accumulated friction of 1,000,000 tiny betrayals of the self. Every time you say yes when your spirit screams no, you create a spark of this static. Every time you wear a smile that does not reach your eyes, every time you swallow your truth to maintain a fragile peace, every time you perform a role that was written for you by someone else, you add another layer to the noise. It is the sound of a square peg trying to force itself into a round hole, not just once, but every single day. The world celebrates this effort. It calls it being adaptable, being a team player, being responsible. But your soul knows it by another name: violence. It is a slow, subtle violence against your own nature, and the noise is the ceaseless cry of your being in protest. It is the deafening sound of a life being spent, not lived. This is the great inner conflict, the silent war waged in the quietest corners of your heart. There is a part of you, the essential you, that craves nothing more than stillness. It yearns for simplicity, for the resonant hum of truth, for the freedom to simply be. It wants to breathe without the weight of expectation constricting its lungs. It wants to act from a place of pure, unadulterated impulse, the way a river flows or a tree grows, following an internal, unspoken law. This part of you knows your true direction. Then there is the other part, the construct, the persona you have so carefully built and maintained. This is the self that is terrified of stillness. It thrives on the noise, on the doing, on the endless striving, because in the motion, it can avoid collapsing. It is the gatekeeper of your own prison, rattling its keys, whispering of all the terrible things that would happen if you were to stop. They will be disappointed, it says. You will lose what you have worked for. You will be seen as a failure, as weak, as strange. Everything will fall apart. This voice is the master of fear. It presents your social identity, your achievements, and your relationships not as expressions of you, but as walls that hold you up. It convinces you that if you were to stop holding your breath, you would not find relief, but annihilation. And so you live, caught between these two opposing forces. The soul pulling you towards silence and truth, the ego pushing you towards noise and performance. The exhaustion you feel is not from your job. It is from the monumental, moment-to-moment effort of holding these two warring energies apart. It is the weariness of the eternal peacekeeper in a war that can never be won. This is the true nature of burnout. It is not a crisis of energy, but a crisis of alignment. You are not tired because you have done too much. You are exhausted because you have done too much of what is not you. Now, here is the turning point. Here is the first ray of light that cuts through the fog. That noise, that grinding, soul-crushing static that you have been running from, fighting against, and trying to numb your entire life. It is not your enemy. It is your most loyal, most devoted, most unwavering guide. It is a gift. Think of it as a perfect, divinely engineered alarm system. Its only function is to alert you when your life force is being directed away from its true purpose. The loudness of the noise is directly proportional to the degree of your deviation. A small nagging feeling of unease is a minor course correction. The deafening, life-altering roar of burnout is a sign that you have wandered dangerously far from home. To feel this noise is a sign of immense health. A truly broken system would be silent. A soul that had given up would feel nothing. The fact that you feel this pain, this friction, this deep dissatisfaction means your inner compass is still working perfectly. It is screaming at you. It is using the only language it has, the language of discomfort, to get your attention. It is an act of love. It is the universe, through the mechanism of your own body and soul, grabbing you by the shoulders and shaking you, saying, "Wake up. This is not your path. There is another way." So, the first step on this journey of being rerouted is not to silence the noise. It is to finally, for the first time, listen to it, not as an affliction, but as a source of information. This requires a small act of courage. Find a time, just 5 minutes, where you can be undisturbed. Sit down, close your eyes, and do not seek peace. Do not try to meditate. Do not look for the light. Instead, do the opposite. Invite the noise in. Turn your attention directly towards the static. Let it be as loud as it needs to be. For these 5 minutes, your only task is to listen, as a detective would listen to a witness. Ask it questions, silently in your mind. What are the specific voices within this static? Whose expectations make up this pressure? Is it the voice of a parent, still echoing after all these years? Is it the voice of society, telling you what success and happiness are supposed to look like? Is it the voice of an old fear, a story you told yourself long ago about not being good enough, not being worthy? Do not judge the voices. Do not argue with them. Simply identify them. Give them a name. Notice where they land in your body. Does the voice of your father's expectation sit like a weight on your shoulders? Does the fear of failure tighten your stomach into a knot? This is the practice of conscious listening. When you do this, something miraculous happens. You begin to separate yourself from the noise. You shift from being the victim of the storm to being the observer of the clouds. You realize, on a visceral level, that you are not the noise. You are the one who hears the noise. You are the silent, spacious awareness in which the noise is happening. This realization, this subtle shift in identity, is the beginning of all freedom. The noise loses its power when it is witnessed without resistance. It no longer controls you from the shadows because you have brought it into the light of your awareness. The gray, suffocating clouds of distraction that have filled your inner sky begin to part, not because you have pushed them away, but because you have finally acknowledged what they are. You have honored their message. The noise is a map written in the language of dissonance. By listening, you have just begun to learn how to read it. You have taken the message from your frantic, screaming guardian. You have signed for the delivery. Now, and only now, after the message has been received, can you begin to turn your attention toward the silence that was there all along, patiently waiting beneath the roar. Having acknowledged the noise, the first instinct of the conditioned mind is to declare war. It wants to fight the static, to suppress the discomfort, to find a strategy to achieve silence. This is the old way. This is the very energy of striving that created the noise in the first place. The path of rerouting does not begin with another action, but with a profound and courageous non-action. It begins with the sacred pause, to simply stop, not as an act of surrender in defeat, but as an act of sovereign power, to deliberately halt the frantic forward momentum of a life that is going nowhere you truly want to be. This act of stopping is one of the most terrifying and revolutionary things a modern human can do. Our world is built on a cult of momentum. Busyness is a virtue, a badge of honor, a proof of worth. To be still is to be lazy, unproductive, to be falling behind in a race with no finish line. We have been conditioned to fear the void, to fill every spare moment with a task, a distraction, a piece of information. The silence makes us nervous. It feels like an accusation. And so we run. We run from our past, we run towards a future that never arrives, and in doing so, we run from the only place where life actually exists, the present moment. The sacred pause is a rebellion against this cult. It is a deliberate stepping off of the hamster wheel. The fear of the pause is not just social conditioning, it is deeply existential. The constant motion, the endless to-do lists, the perpetual state of being occupied, it all serves as a magnificent distraction machine. It keeps us from having to face what lies beneath the surface of our busy lives. It shields us from the unresolved grief, the quiet anxieties, the profound questions about our purpose and our mortality. The ego, the constructed self, knows that its very existence depends on this forward momentum. It is a creature of noise and action. Stillness is a threat to its dominion. When you finally decide to pause, the mind will panic. It will flood the pristine space of your silence with a torrent of thoughts, worries, plans, and memories. It will create an imaginary itch, a sudden urge to clean the house, a desperate need to check your phone. It will do anything to pull you back into the familiar, noisy world of doing. It is fighting for its life, the life of the persona, the mask. This is the next layer of inner conflict, the ingrained, addictive habit of doing versus the soul's deep, resonant call to simply be. Your mind is a frantic project manager, armed with spreadsheets and schedules, convinced that the universe is a problem to be solved. Your soul, however, is the silent observer, the vast, open sky, content to simply witness the clouds of experience as they drift by. You are the space where this struggle occurs. You can feel it as a physical tension, a restlessness in your limbs, a mind that refuses to settle. You are an addict withdrawing from the drug of distraction. But underneath that frantic energy, if you listen, you can feel another current, a quieter, deeper pull, a yearning to be set down, a longing for release. This yearning is the voice of your true self. It is the rerouting signal, growing stronger as you create the space to perceive it. Here we must redefine our understanding of stillness. In the lexicon of the ego, stillness is emptiness, a void, a lack. This is a profound misinterpretation. Stillness is not empty, it is receptive. It is not a void, it is a plenum, a space that is full of pure potential. Think of the night sky. It is not an empty blackness, it is the container that holds the sun, the moon, and all the stars. Without the vast, dark stillness of space, there would be no light. Stillness is the ultimate container. It is the backdrop against which all of life's true guidance can finally appear. It is the clean canvas upon which the universe, the master artist, can begin to paint your new path. You have been trying to paint a masterpiece on a canvas already filled with the frantic scribbles of your own anxiety. The sacred pause is the act of lovingly wiping the canvas clean. The core message is this: you do not have to find the answers. You do not have to struggle for clarity. Your only task is to create the silence in which the answers, which are already present, can be heard. Clarity is not something you achieve, it is something you allow. It is the natural state of a mind that has been permitted to become still. The practice is one of radical simplicity. Start with 5 minutes a day. This is not a challenge to be won, but a sanctuary to be entered. Find a place where you will not be disturbed. A chair is enough. Set a timer so your mind can release the need to track time. And then, you simply sit. You exist. This is not meditation in the traditional sense. You are not to focus on your breath. You are not to repeat a mantra. You are not to try and clear your mind. In fact, you are to do nothing at all. Your only instruction is to be present with whatever arises. And what will arise, most likely, is the mind's rebellion. Observe it. Watch the parade of thoughts without getting on the floats. See the to-do lists, the worries, the replays of old conversations. Feel the urge to get up, to fidget, to do something. Do not judge this restlessness. Do not fight it. Simply notice it with a gentle, curious detachment. Ah, there is the part of me that is afraid of being still. There is the part of me that thinks my worth is in my productivity. Be the scientist of your own inner world. The practice is not to achieve a silent mind. The practice is to become intimate with your own resistance to silence. In this gentle observation, the resistance begins to soften. The mind, like a tired child, eventually gives up its tantrum when it realizes you are not going to engage. And in the spaces between the thoughts, you will find it. A sliver of silence, a moment of pure, unburdened presence. That is the opening. That is where the rerouting begins. This practice is mirrored perfectly in two of nature's most potent metaphors. The first is the eye of the hurricane. Your life, your thoughts, your responsibilities. They are the screaming, chaotic winds of the storm wall. To fight the winds is madness. You will be torn apart. The sacred pause is the act of finding the courage to move towards the center, where there is an unnatural and profound calm. The storm still rages, but you are no longer in it. You are in its peaceful, observant core. You have found the stillness within the chaos. The second metaphor is a glass of water filled with dirt and sand. Your mind, stirred up by constant activity, is this murky, impenetrable water. You cannot see through it. You cannot find clarity. The desperate mind tries to fix this by stirring it more, by trying to grab the particles of dirt one by one. The wise mind understands the law of gravity. It simply sets the glass down. It pauses, and with no effort at all, simply by the grace of stillness, the sediment begins to settle. The dirt, the sand, the heavy particles of worry and fear, they drift to the bottom. The water becomes clear. You did not do anything. You simply stopped doing. And in that clarity, light can finally pass through. You can see what was there all along. The sacred pause is the ultimate act of trust. It is a declaration to the universe that you are ready to listen, that you value its wisdom more than your own frantic planning. It is in this newly created clearing, this quiet, receptive space, that a new language begins to emerge. As the sediment of your mental noise settles, you start to perceive a more subtle form of communication. It is a language spoken not in words, but in feelings, in pressures, in the deep, intuitive knowing of the body. It is the language of your own discomfort, which you can now begin to decode, not as a problem to be solved, but as a message to be understood. Into the newfound stillness, a new perception arises. Having paused, having allowed the frantic noise of the mind to settle, you do not always find a landscape of perfect peace. Often, what you find first is what the noise was designed to conceal. You begin to truly feel, perhaps for the first time, the subtle textures of your own inner world, and much of it is uncomfortable. A persistent, low-grade anxiety, a profound and hollow boredom, a simmering resentment that you never allowed yourself to acknowledge. The first instinct is to recoil, to judge these feelings as evidence that you are doing something wrong, that the stillness has failed. But this is the most critical juncture. These feelings are not the problem. They are the path. You have just been granted access to the native language of your soul, and that language is spoken through the body and its emotions. For years, perhaps a lifetime, you have been taught to treat these feelings as negative. You have been told that anxiety is a disorder, that boredom is a sign of a boring person, that anger is a destructive and unspiritual emotion. We have declared war on our own internal guidance system. We numb our anxiety with distraction, we fight our boredom with endless novelty, we suppress our anger with a veneer of civility. This is like a pilot deciding his warning lights are inconvenient and putting black tape over them, then wondering why he is flying into the side of a mountain. Being rerouted requires you to tear off the tape. It requires you to look at the blinking red lights, not as a malfunction, but as a communication of absolute importance. Let us decode the primary signals. Consider anxiety. It is not a random affliction. It is a form of psychic intuition. Anxiety is your soul's allergic reaction to falseness. It is a signal from your own inner being, resisting a path, a thought, or a future that is not in alignment with your truth. When you feel that familiar tightening in your chest, that frantic energy buzzing just under your skin, it is a message. It is saying, you are placing your trust in something that is not real. You are trying to control an outcome that must be allowed to unfold. You are moving towards a future that will cost you your own soul. Anxiety is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that your integrity is still active, fighting for you, warning you of a deviation from your path. Consider boredom, that flat, grey, tasteless feeling of apathy. In our hyper-stimulated world, boredom is the ultimate sin. But it is one of your most profound spiritual guides. Boredom is not the absence of something to do, it is the absence of meaning. It is the cry of a starving soul, sitting at a banquet of meaningless tasks, unfulfilling relationships, and empty ambitions. It is the unmistakable sign that you are not investing your life force into anything that truly nourishes you. When you feel the heavy cloak of apathy descend, it is a loving message. There is no life for you here. Your passion, your vitality, your creative fire lies in another direction. Stop trying to drink from an empty well. And then there is anger, the most maligned of all emotions. We are taught to see anger as toxic, as a loss of control. But authentic anger, not the petty rage of the ego, is a sacred and powerful force. It is the guardian of your boundaries. It is a surge of pure, clarifying energy from the core of your being, designed for one purpose, to say, number. Anger arises when a boundary has been crossed, when your sacred space has been violated, when your truth has been dismissed or betrayed. And most often, the person violating your boundaries is yourself. You feel anger when you have said yes when you meant no. You feel resentment when you have abandoned your own needs to please another. It is a fire, and you have been taught to fear it. But this fire is not meant to burn the world down. It is meant to burn away all that is not you, to cauterize the wounds of self-abandonment, and to illuminate the sacred line around your being that must not be crossed. The inner conflict, then, is this: the desperate desire to feel good immediately versus the profound necessity of sitting with the bad long enough to receive its wisdom. We are conditioned for the quick fix. We want to medicate the pain, to think our way out of it, to bypass the discomfort and arrive at a place of manufactured positivity. But the rerouting happens in the discomfort. The treasure is hidden in the belly of the beast. To continuously fight or flee from your own emotions is to live in a state of perpetual civil war. It is exhausting. It is the reason you feel so tired. You are spending monumental amounts of energy holding a beach ball underwater. The moment you relax, it shoots to the surface. The path of wisdom is to simply let the ball float, to look at it, to feel its shape, to understand its nature. This brings us to the core message. Your emotional body is an incredibly intelligent, high-precision biofeedback system. It is not random. It is not irrational. It is data. It is constantly giving you precise readings on your state of alignment. Learning to read this internal dashboard is the single most important skill for navigating your rerouting. It is your native language, a language you knew fluently as a child but were taught to forget. Now you must learn it again. This is not about becoming emotional or being controlled by your feelings. It is the opposite. It is about becoming an expert student of your emotions, so they no longer control you from the subconscious shadows. You move from being their slave to being their confidant. The practice for this is one of gentle, compassionate inquiry. It is a way to dialogue with your inner world. When you feel a wave of discomfort, instead of immediately distracting yourself, you perform these steps. First, you pause. You take one conscious breath. You acknowledge, something is here for me to understand. Second, you name it, without judgment. Simply say to yourself, this is anxiety, or this is sadness. The act of naming it creates a small, powerful space between you and the feeling. You are no longer consumed by it, you are observing it. Third, you locate it in your body. Where does it physically reside? Is the anger a hot pressure in your jaw and fists? Is the grief a hollow ache in the center of your chest? Is the anxiety a swarm of buzzing bees in your stomach? Anchor the feeling to a physical sensation. This brings it out of the abstract and into the tangible reality of the present moment. And fourth, the most profound step, you ask it a question. With genuine curiosity, you silently ask the feeling, if you had a voice, what message do you have for me? And then you listen. You do not try to answer with your analytical mind. You wait. You listen with your whole body for the answer. The answer may come as a single word, an image, a sudden memory, or just a subtle shift in the feeling itself. You might ask your anxiety, what am I not trusting? You might ask your boredom, what is my soul hungry for? You might ask your anger, which of my boundaries has been crossed? This is how you use the fire. You are not ignoring it, nor are you letting it rage out of control. You are building a small, contained campfire. You are using its heat and light to see more clearly in the darkness of your own confusion. You are treating your pain with the respect you would give a wise but wounded messenger. This is the very essence of the metaphor of touching a hot stove. The searing pain in your hand is not your enemy. The pain is a brilliant, life-saving message designed to make you pull your hand away from the thing that is actually harming you. Emotional pain is identical. It is a benevolent signal, pointing directly to the belief, the relationship, or the circumstance that is burning your soul. The rerouting is the act of finally heeding the signal and pulling your hand away. As you practice this art of decoding, of listening to your own inner counsel, you will begin to notice a pattern. You will see that so many of these uncomfortable signals, these fires and alarms, are triggered by a single common cause. They are the friction burns that come from constantly wearing a mask that does not fit. The anxiety is the fear of the mask slipping. The anger is the protest against having to wear it. The boredom is the soul suffocating underneath it. The discomfort is the price of inauthenticity. And this realization leads, inevitably, to the next, most crucial and liberating step of your journey, the great and terrifying work of letting the mask fall. The language of your discomfort, when you listen with courage, has led you here, to the very source of the friction. It has led you to the great discovery that the persistent, low-grade suffering of your life is not caused by your circumstances. It is the chafe of a mask you have been wearing for so long. You have forgotten it is not your own face. We all wear one. It is not a mistake, nor is it a sign of a flawed character. It is a survival mechanism, a brilliant strategy devised by a younger version of yourself to navigate the world. This mask, this persona, this construction we can call the false self, is a masterpiece of adaptation. It is a costume stitched together from the threads of your life, the beliefs of your family, the expectations of your culture, the triumphs that brought you praise, and the traumas that taught you which parts of yourself were unsafe to show. This false self is who you think you are supposed to be. It is the good son, the responsible daughter, the driven executive, the spiritual seeker, the rebellious artist. It is a collection of roles and beliefs that allowed you to function, to be accepted, to be loved, to feel safe. For a time, it worked. It was the boat that got you through the stormy seas of childhood and early adulthood. But now, you have arrived at a new shore, a new stage of your soul's journey, and you are still trying to drag the heavy, cumbersome boat with you through the forest. The exhaustion you feel is the monumental effort of dragging this outdated survival strategy into a landscape where it is no longer needed. The rerouting is the universe telling you, with increasing urgency, that it is time to leave the boat at the water's edge. It is time for the great unbecoming. This process is not one of building, but of dismantling. It is not about becoming a better version of your old self. It is about letting go of that self entirely so that the true self can emerge. This prospect is both liberating and utterly terrifying, and this is the source of the deepest inner conflict you may ever face. There is a profound, paradoxical safety in the prison of the persona. The bars are familiar. The rules of the cage are known. If you play the role of the strong one, you know that the reward is admiration, even if the price is a crushing loneliness. If you play the role of the people-pleaser, you know that the reward is a lack of conflict, even if the price is the slow erasure of your own soul. The known, even if it is painful, feels safer to the ego than the unknown. To begin to take off the mask feels like a kind of death, because the ego cannot imagine an existence outside of its own constructed identity. It asks, with genuine panic, if I am not the successful one, what am I? If I am not the helper, what is my purpose? If I am not my story of trauma and survival, who am I? And the immediate answer that echoes back from the void is, nothing. This is the ego's greatest fear, annihilation. It is the terror of discovering that the character you have been playing is just a character, and that you have no script for what comes next. There is also a strange and poignant grief in this process. You must grieve the parts of the mask that served you. You may have to grieve the good student who was always praised by teachers and parents. You may have to grieve the rebel whose identity gave you a sense of power and specialness. You are letting go of a loyal soldier who, for all its misguided strategies, fought to keep you safe in the only way it knew how. This unbecoming is not an angry rejection, but a loving and compassionate retirement of an old and trusted servant who no longer understands the nature of the new world you are entering. This is the core message, the truth that will set you free. You are not the mask. You are not your job, your accomplishments, your failures, or your relationships. You are not your personality. You are not the story you tell about your life. These are all objects in your awareness. They are things you can observe. And if you can observe them, you cannot be them. The one who is aware of the story is necessarily separate from the story itself. You are the silent, spacious, witnessing awareness in which all of these things, the thoughts, the roles, the feelings, the stories appear and disappear like clouds in the sky. The sky does not become the cloud. The sky is not harmed by the storm. It is the changeless, ever-present space that allows all weather to happen. That is who you are. To find your true path, the path of the soul, you must be willing to burn the false map created by the persona. You must be willing to navigate by the inner sky of your own awareness. To begin this sacred dismantling, we can use a simple, practical exercise. Take a piece of paper or a journal. At the top, write the words, "I am," and then, without censorship, begin to list every label you consciously or unconsciously apply to yourself. Include the roles: a mother, a son, a manager, a friend. Include the personality traits: shy, confident, anxious, strong. Include the accomplishments and failures: a graduate, a homeowner, a bankrupt, a divorcee. Include the secret identities: the victim, the hero, the misunderstood genius, the fraud. Write until you can think of no more. This list is the blueprint of your false self. It is the collection of identities your ego clings to for its very survival. Now, the work begins. Go through the list, one label at a time. Hold each one in your mind. Let us take the label "a hard worker." Ask yourself, with genuine curiosity, is this who I am at my absolute core? Or is this a strategy I learned to gain approval and feel secure? Take another, a broken person. Ask, is this the unchanging truth of my being? Or is this a story I tell myself, born from past pain, that I have mistaken for my identity? Do this with every single label. Do not force an answer. Simply hold the question and see how it feels. This practice begins to create a space between you and the labels. It loosens their grip. Finally, when you have examined the list, put it aside. Sit in silence for a few minutes and hold in your consciousness this ultimate question: without any of these labels, who am I? Do not look for a new, better label. Do not search for a clever, intellectual answer. The point of the question is not the answer, but the space it creates. Rest in the silence of not knowing. The answer is not a word. The answer is the feeling of that silent, spacious awareness that is asking the question. That is you. This process of the great unbecoming is perfectly captured in two of nature's most powerful metaphors. The first is that of a snake shedding its skin. The old skin, the persona, has become too tight. It no longer fits the being that is growing within. It begins to itch. Your vision, clouded by the old eye caps, becomes blurry. To stay in the old skin is to suffocate. The shedding process is a struggle. It is an uncomfortable, vulnerable wriggling and rubbing against the rough surfaces of life to free yourself from this prison of your own making. But once free, you emerge raw, sensitive, but vibrant and alive, with room to grow. The old skin is left behind, a hollow testament to a life that is no longer yours. The second metaphor is that of a sculptor revealing a statue within a block of stone. Your true self, your essence, is not something you need to build or create. It is already there, complete and perfect, hidden within the rough, unformed block of your conditioning. The great unbecoming is the process of chipping away everything that is not the statue. Every fear-based belief you release is a tap of the chisel. Every role you stop performing is a shard of marble falling to the floor. The work is not one of addition but of subtraction. You are not becoming someone new. You are courageously removing all that you are not, so that what you have always been can finally be seen. This is the great work. It takes courage and it takes compassion for yourself. As you let go of the familiar structures of the false self, you will be left standing in a new kind of space. It may feel open, raw, and uncertain. This is not a sign that you have failed or are more lost than before. It is the sign of ultimate success. You have cleared the ground, you have shed the skin, you have removed the excess stone, and now you are standing, naked and true, in the only place where authentic direction can be found, the pure, unfiltered, and potent reality of the present moment. After the great unbecoming, after the deliberate and courageous act of letting the old self fall away, you find yourself in a new and unfamiliar territory. The landmarks of your old identity are gone. The roles, the stories, and the labels that once defined your world have been released. In this new space, you may feel raw, unanchored, and profoundly vulnerable. There is no past story to cling to for comfort, and no future projection to strive for. You have been stripped down to the essential, and in this nakedness, you are left with the only solid ground that has ever truly existed, the present moment, the now. For most of your life, your mind has been a masterful escape artist, its greatest trick being the illusion of time. It has lived anywhere but here. It has dwelled in the graveyards of the past, endlessly replaying old conversations, polishing old grievances, or basking in the fading glory of past achievements. The past is the ego's favorite museum, for it is the source code of its identity. Your story of who you are is built entirely from memories. To the mind, a past that is not constantly curated and revisited is a self that is dissolving. So it pulls you back, again and again, into the phantom world of what was. Or it launches you into the fantasy of the future. It lives in a perpetual state of what if, projecting endless scenarios of hope and fear. The future is where the ego places its salvation. I will be happy when I get the promotion. I will be at peace when I find the right partner. I will be secure when I have enough money. This, when is the great lie of the mind. It keeps you on a treadmill of striving, forever chasing a horizon that recedes as you approach it. The future is a promise of arrival that is never kept, because it does not exist anywhere but in your imagination. The present moment is the only place the thinking mind refuses to live, because the now is the ego's kryptonite. In the pure, unadorned reality of this moment, there are no stories, there are no problems. A problem is a mental construct that requires time. You project a negative future outcome and then resist it. In the now, there are only situations to be dealt with or accepted. In the now, there is no past to define you and no future to save you. There is only the sensation of your breath, the feeling of the air on your skin, the sounds entering your ears. In this stark, simple reality, the ego, the storyteller, has no function. Its intricate narratives of lack and striving cannot survive. It begins to dissolve in the light of pure awareness. This is why your mind finds the present moment both intolerably boring and deeply threatening. It will do anything to pull you away from its quiet, ego-dissolving power. Herein lies a subtle and constant inner conflict. The gravitational pull of thought versus the quiet invitation of presence. The mind wants to analyze the present moment, to label it, to judge it, to use it as a launching pad back into the past or the future. You may sit down to be still, and the mind immediately begins its narration. I am feeling calm now. I wonder how long this will last. I hope I can feel this way tomorrow. I remember when I used to feel this way more often. In an instant, you are gone. You have been hijacked from the experience itself and thrown back into the stream of time. The challenge is to resist this seductive pull of analysis and to simply, radically be here. This leads us to a core, life-altering message. The universe, God, source, life, whatever name you give it, does not speak to you in the past or in the future. It communicates with you exclusively in the now. All true guidance, every intuitive hit, every synchronistic sign, every whisper from your soul happens in this exact moment. Your power is not in your memory of yesterday or your plan for tomorrow. Your entire power to choose, to act, to perceive, and to create is consolidated in the razor's edge of the present moment. You are not being rerouted tomorrow. The rerouting is happening now. The path unfolds now. The choice is always now. To live in the past or the future is to be absent for the only appointment you truly have, the appointment with reality itself. To return to this sacred ground, you do not need a complex technique. You simply need to use the anchors that are already yours, the gateways that lead directly out of the labyrinth of thought and into the reality of the present. These gateways are your senses. They are always in the now. Begin with the anchor of sound. Wherever you are, take a moment to close your eyes and just listen. Do not try to identify the sounds. Do not label them car, bird, refrigerator, hum. Simply receive them as pure vibrations. Allow the soundscape of your environment to wash over you without commentary. The sounds are not good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. They just are. And they are happening, undeniably, now. By simply listening, you pull your attention out of the imaginary world of thought and anchor it in the real world of sensation. Then, move to the anchor of touch. Feel the points of contact between your body and the world. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. Feel the texture of your clothing against your skin. Feel the subtle sensation of the air moving across your hands or your face. These feelings are not a memory or a projection. They are alive, immediate, and real. Inhabit your body fully, for your body can only exist in the now. It is your most faithful and constant anchor to the present moment. Finally, use the anchor of sight. Open your eyes and allow them to rest on an object nearby, perhaps a plant, a pen, or your own hand. Look at it as if you have never seen it before. Do not let your mind slap a label on it and move on. See it. See the intricate patterns in the leaf, the play of light and shadow on the pen, the lines and creases on your skin. Observe it with the intense, non-judgmental curiosity of a child. In this state of pure seeing, thought subsides. You are simply present, a silent witness to the isness of what is before you. This practice, repeated throughout your day, is not about trying to stop your thoughts. That is a battle you cannot win. It is about gently and repeatedly redirecting your attention away from the seductive noise of thought and onto the quiet reality of your senses. You are giving your attention something more interesting, more real, to engage with than the mind's endless chatter. The present moment is a perfect mirror. When your mind is still and you are fully present, it reflects reality to you with absolute pristine clarity. You see yourself, your situation, and the world as they truly are. But when your mind is agitated, when it is frantically skipping between past regrets and future anxieties, it is like shaking the mirror violently. The reflection becomes a distorted, fragmented, and terrifying mess. You can no longer see the truth. You see only your own agitation. The rerouting requires a clear reflection. It requires you to learn how to let the mirror be still. Imagine a vast, deep lake. When the air is calm, its surface is like glass, and it perfectly reflects the sky, the mountains, the trees. It holds the entire world in its embrace. This is the mind in a state of presence. But when the wind of obsessive thought begins to blow, The surface breaks into a million ripples. The reflection is shattered. The world is distorted. You cannot see the mountain for the waves. The spiritual path is not about fighting the waves. It is about realizing you are not the wind and you are not the ripples. You are the deep, still water beneath it all, which is never disturbed. By returning to the senses, you allow the wind of thought to subside, and the surface of the lake naturally becomes still again, revealing the clear reflection of reality. This is your new ground. The now is not a state to achieve, but a home to which you can always return. In the beginning, you may only be able to stay for a few seconds before the mind hijacks you again. That is fine. The practice is in the returning. Each time you notice you are lost in thought and gently guide your attention back to your breath or your hands, you are strengthening a spiritual muscle. You are building a new pathway in your brain. And as you learn to rest more and more in this still, clear mirror of the present moment, you become exquisitely sensitive to a new kind of information. It is not a thought, it is a feeling, a subtle, energetic vibration from the core of your being. It is the resonance of truth and the dissonance of falsehood. It is your inner compass, and its needle can only be read in the calm, quiet light of the now. From the silent, fertile ground of the present moment, a new faculty of perception begins to awaken. Having stepped out of the relentless stream of thought, you are no longer just thinking about your life. You are able to feel it. This is the great shift. It is the activation of a guidance system that is infinitely more intelligent and reliable than your analytical mind. This is your inner compass. It does not look like a compass you can hold. It has no needle, no cardinal directions. Its language is not one of logic or words, but of energy. It speaks to you through the direct, tangible, physical sensations of resonance and dissonance. For your entire life, you have been trained to navigate with your mind. You have been taught to make lists of pros and cons, to weigh probabilities, to heed the advice of experts, and to follow the logical course of action. This is the way of the false self, the persona, and it has led you here, to this place of feeling lost and disconnected. The rerouting demands a radical shift in authority. It requires you to learn that the body's wisdom precedes the mind's knowledge. Your inner compass operates through a simple binary code felt within the body: expansion or contraction. Let us define these terms, not as abstract concepts, but as lived experiences. Resonance, or expansion, is the feeling of an inner yes. When you contemplate a thought, a choice, or a path that is in alignment with your true self, your body registers it as a sensation of opening. It might be a subtle warmth or lightness in your chest, a feeling of your shoulders relaxing, an unconscious deep breath, a sense of ease and rightness. It feels like flow. It feels like a subtle leaning forward into life. It is the quiet hum of your entire being vibrating in harmony with a particular truth. This is the feeling of alignment. Dissonance, or contraction, is the feeling of an inner no. When you contemplate something that is out of alignment with your soul's path, your body registers it as a tightening. It is a knot in the pit of your stomach, a clenching in your jaw, a subtle heaviness in your limbs, a feeling of wanting to pull back or shrink. It feels like resistance, like pushing against a current. It is the jarring, uncomfortable feeling of your energy system recoiling from something that is not for you. This is the feeling of misalignment. This biofeedback system is happening constantly, whether you are paying attention to it or not. The ultimate inner conflict for the modern human arises at the precise point where the mind's logic and the body's resonance diverge. Imagine you are offered a new job. On paper, it is perfect. It offers more money, a more prestigious title, and aligns perfectly with the career path you have been told you should want. Your mind, your parents, your friends, everyone agrees. The logic is flawless. The pro-con list is overwhelmingly in favor. Your mind says, this is the right choice. You must take it. But then you perform a simple experiment. You find a quiet moment. You close your eyes. You take a deep breath. And you hold the thought in your mind. I accept this job. I see myself walking into that new office on Monday. You drop your attention out of your head and into your body. And what you feel is a distinct, undeniable contraction. A cold stone drops in your stomach. Your breathing becomes shallow. You feel a wave of inexplicable dread. Your body is screaming number. This is the showdown. Who do you trust? The loud, persuasive, logical voice of your conditioned mind, which has 1,000 good reasons, or the quiet, non-verbal, seemingly irrational feeling in your gut? The entire journey of being rerouted hinges on your answer to this question. To continue to trust the mind over the body is to stay on the old path. To find the courage to trust the body's resonance, even when it makes no logical sense, is to take your first true step onto the new path. This is the core message. Your inner compass does not speak your native tongue. It speaks the universal language of energy. Learning to feel and to trust the difference between what expands your energy and what contracts it is the single most important navigational skill you will ever develop. Your mind is a product of the past. It is an archive of old fears, societal programming, and second-hand beliefs. It is a wonderful tool for executing tasks, but it is a terrible master for discerning truth. Your body, however, exists only in the present moment, and when accessed through presence, it becomes a conduit for the timeless wisdom of your soul, your higher self. It does not care about what is practical or sensible. It cares only about what is true for you. Trusting it is the ultimate act of self-love. To practice using this compass is simple. It is a resonance test you can perform on any choice, large or small. First, find your stillness. Come into the present moment by taking 2 or 3 conscious breaths. Let the mental chatter subside, just for a moment. Second, hold the potential choice in your awareness. Do not analyze it. Simply hold the idea of it as a pure potentiality. I will move to that city. I will have that difficult conversation. I will sign up for that class. Third, immediately drop your awareness from your head into the core of your body, your chest, your stomach, your gut. What is the very first sensation that registers? Before your mind has a chance to comment on it, what is the raw physical feeling? Is it an opening or a closing, a lightness or a heaviness, a sense of peace or a sense of unease? Fourth, and this is the most crucial part, you must learn to trust that first, instantaneous signal. The mind will rush in a split second later to interpret, dismiss, or explain it away. Oh, that's just fear of the unknown, it will argue. That feeling of lightness is just naive excitement. The practice is to honor the first raw signal as the most truthful piece of data. It is the pure, unfiltered feedback from your guidance system before the static of the ego kicks in. Begin by practicing with small, everyday decisions. Should I have tea or coffee? Should I listen to this music or sit in silence? Should I go for a walk or read a book? By using the resonance test on these low-stakes choices, you build the muscle of perception. You become more attuned to the subtleties of your inner yes and no, so that when the big decisions arise, you can trust the instrument you have so carefully calibrated. This inner compass is beautifully illustrated by the metaphor of a tuning fork. Your soul, your true essence, has a unique and fundamental frequency. It is the resonant tone of your authentic self. When you encounter a choice, a person, or an environment that matches this frequency, your entire being begins to hum with it. You vibrate with a quiet yes. This is resonance. When you encounter something that is dissonant with your core frequency, you remain energetically inert. You feel nothing, or you feel a jarring sense of wrongness. The tuning fork doesn't judge the other frequencies. It simply fails to resonate with them. Your inner compass operates with the same impersonal, physical law. We see this also in the simple, profound wisdom of a plant. A plant exhibits something called heliotropism, the instinctual movement towards light. It does not think, I should probably angle my leaves 3 degrees to the east to maximize photon absorption. It simply feels the sun's warmth and naturally, gracefully, effortlessly orients its entire being towards that source of life. Your soul possesses a similar spiritual heliotropism. It is instinctively drawn to what gives it life, what nourishes it, what makes it feel expansive and alive. The feeling of resonance is the feeling of your inner plant turning towards its sun. It is a thoughtless, instinctual, and deeply intelligent movement towards your own becoming. This compass is your unerring guide through the uncharted territory that lies ahead. It is what makes it possible to navigate without a map. But trusting it, especially when it points you away from the safe, well-trodden path and towards an unknown wilderness, requires a tremendous leap of faith. It requires you to become comfortable with not knowing. It requires you to be willing to stand in the empty space between the life you are leaving behind and the life that has not yet taken form. This space can feel like a terrifying void, but it is in this very void that the universe does its most creative work. Trusting your compass is what gives you the courage to step into it. And so you have done it. You have honored the inner compass. You have listened to the resonance of your body over the logic of your mind. You have said no to the job, the relationship, the path that was causing the deep contraction in your soul. In the first moments after this courageous act, there is often a feeling of exhilarating lightness, a surge of freedom. The cage door is open, but then, as the minutes turn to hours and the hours to days, a new and far more challenging feeling can begin to creep in, a sense of disorientation, a vast, echoing emptiness. The initial liberation gives way to a quiet panic. You have left the familiar shore, but there is no new land in sight. You are adrift in an ocean of not knowing. Welcome to the void. The void is the sacred and often terrifying transitional space between who you were and who you are becoming. It is the gap between shedding the old skin and the new one fully hardening. The mind, the ego, has a very clear interpretation of this state. You have failed. It will scream at you with the full force of its fear. You made a terrible mistake. You should have stayed. You are unproductive. You are aimless. You are invisible. You have no purpose. It will present this emptiness not as a space of potential, but as a definitive proof of your worthlessness. This is the ego's ultimate terror, for its entire identity is built on knowing, on doing, on having a story. The void is the absence of a story, and therefore, to the ego, it is a form of death. This triggers the great inner conflict of this phase, the desperate, panicked scramble versus the courageous, sacred surrender. The scrambling energy is the ego trying to fill the void at any cost. It is the frantic, sleepless, searching for a new job, any job. It is the impulse to jump into a new relationship to avoid the discomfort of being alone. It is the obsessive start of a dozen new projects, hoping one of them will give you back a sense of identity and purpose. This is the energy of fear. It is an attempt to patch the hole in your old identity rather than allowing a new one to form organically. It is the terrified impulse to do something because the stillness feels like a free fall. But your soul, the wise, timeless part of you, extends a different invitation. It asks for surrender. It asks for the courage to remain in the state of not knowing. It asks for you to trust that this emptiness is not an accident, but a divinely ordained and necessary part of your rerouting. It is a call to be still and to allow the alchemy of transformation to occur, a process that cannot be rushed and cannot be forced by the frantic machinations of the will. It is the call to, for a time, do nothing, with the deep understanding that this non-doing is the most productive and important work you will ever undertake. This brings us to the profound and healing core message. The void is not an absence, it is the presence of all potential. It is not empty space, it is fertile space. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, cannot build a new reality for you while your life is still cluttered with the furniture of the old one. You cannot receive a beautiful new gift if your hands are still clenched tightly around what you were supposed to let go of. The void is the universe's grace. It is a sacred pause, a divine waiting room where the old energetic patterns are dissolved and the new ones are being woven in the unseen realms. It is the act of emptying your house so that it can be filled with something more true. It is the act of opening your hands and trusting that they will be filled at the perfect time and in the perfect way. So, what do you do when you find yourself in this fertile emptiness? The practical guidance is not a series of steps to get out of it, but a way of being within it. The first practice is to consciously resist the scramble. When you feel the wave of panic rise, the desperate urge to fix the emptiness, simply notice it. Acknowledge the fear. Say to it, "I see you. I know you are trying to protect me." But do not let it take the driver's seat. Breathe. Remind yourself that you are in a necessary transitional phase. You are not failing, you are gestating. The second practice is to shift your focus from striving to nourishing. The work of the void is receptive, not active. This is not the time to be pushing, hustling, or forcing things to happen. That is the old energy. The new energy requires you to recharge, to restore, to fill your own well. So, your work becomes whatever nourishes your soul and body. Take long, aimless walks in nature, without a destination. Lie on the grass and watch the clouds. Read poetry. Listen to music that touches your heart. Take a nap in the middle of the afternoon without guilt. Cook a beautiful, healthy meal just for yourself. Your only goal is to cultivate a state of gentle, receptive being. You are tending to the soil of your soul, making it rich and ready for the seed that is coming. The ultimate practice in the void is the art of allowing. Your task is not to find your next path. Your task is to allow your next path to find you. This is an active state of trustful waiting. It is a deep listening. By resting, by nourishing yourself, by refusing to fill the space with panicked action, you are sending a clear signal to the universe. I am ready. I am open. I trust the process. This is the highest form of co-creation. You are holding the sacred space, and the universe is handling the sacred logistics. Two of nature's most powerful metaphors can be your guides here. The first is that of a field left fallow in winter. To the impatient eye, it looks dead, barren, and useless. Nothing is visibly growing. But the wise farmer knows that this fallow period is essential. Beneath the frozen surface, a miracle of regeneration is taking place. The soil is resting, replenishing its nutrients, being aerated by worms and enriched by unseen microorganisms. It is a period of deep, silent, invisible preparation. Without this fallow time, the explosive growth of spring would be impossible. The void is your soul's winter. Do not curse its seeming barrenness. Trust the hidden, sacred work that is happening beneath the surface. The second metaphor is the cocoon. A caterpillar, at the end of its stage of life, does not simply sprout wings. It must first dissolve itself into an almost formless primordial soup within the darkness of a chrysalis. It is a process of complete and utter unbecoming. It is a surrender to a biological mystery it cannot possibly understand. From this state of dissolution, a new form, a new being, a butterfly, is miraculously organized. The void is your cocoon. It is a sacred and protected space where the elements of your old self are being dissolved, so that the elements of your true, winged self can be reassembled. You cannot rush this process. You cannot analyze it into being. You must simply surrender to the darkness and trust the alchemy. So be gentle with yourself in this space. It is a temporary and holy state of being. It is an act of supreme universal intelligence, protecting you from building a new life on the compromised foundations of your old one. To endure it, to trust it, to allow it to do its work, requires a special kind of inner fortitude. It is a strength that is not aggressive or forceful, but resilient and patient. This strength is forged not in the world of action, but in the inner world of silence. It is the strength that comes from learning to be truly, deeply, and powerfully alone with yourself. The void is a silent space, a fertile darkness, but to endure it, to truly inhabit its potential without retreating into fear, you must cultivate a specific kind of power. This power is not found in the company of others, nor in the validation of the world. It is forged in the fires of intentional solitude. Society has taught you to confuse solitude with loneliness. Loneliness is a state of lack, a feeling of disconnection from others. It is a phantom limb, an ache for something external. But solitude, true solitude, is a state of profound connection with the self. It is not an absence, but a presence. A deliberate, courageous choice to turn inward and meet who is there. We are conditioned to fear this meeting. From the moment we are born, we are surrounded by noise, by voices, by expectations. Our sense of self is often built as a reflection in the eyes of others. To be alone is to have that mirror taken away, and what is left can feel terrifying. The mind, accustomed to constant stimulation, begins to scream. It throws up memories, anxieties, to-do lists, anything to fill the deafening silence. The body feels restless. There is an urge to reach for a phone, to turn on a screen, to call a friend, to do anything to escape the discomfort of your own undiluted presence. This is the first test. The resistance is not a sign that solitude is wrong for you. It is a sign that it is working. It is the beginning of the great alchemy, because solitude is the forge of the soul. In this sacred space, you are both the blacksmith and the raw metal. The initial discomfort, the psychic noise, the desperate urge to flee this is the fire of the forge. Your willingness to stay, to sit with the heat, to observe the chaos without acting on it, this is the hammer. Most people run from the fire. They spend their entire lives in a frantic search for distraction, never realizing that the very thing they are running from holds the key to their liberation. But you are being rerouted. You are learning a different way. So you stay. You breathe through the discomfort. You watch the frantic mind like you would watch a storm from a safe window. You do not judge it. You do not engage it. You simply allow it to be. And then a miracle happens. The fire, which once threatened to consume you, begins to purify you. The surface-level anxieties, the borrowed opinions, the fears that are not truly yours, they begin to burn away like dross. They cannot survive in the focused heat of your silent awareness. What is left after this initial burning is something more real, more solid. It is the core of you, and in the silence that follows the mind storm, you begin to hear a new voice. It is not a voice of words, but of feeling, of knowing. It is the resonance of your own soul, a voice that has been drowned out for years by the noise of the wrong path. This is the alchemy, the transformation of the raw, reactive ore of your conditioned personality into the tempered steel of your authentic self. In solitude, you are not lonely because you are finally in the best possible company. You learn to be your own anchor, your own counsel, your own comfort. The desperate need for external validation begins to wither because you are validating yourself with the most powerful act there is, the act of staying present with who you truly are. You realize you are not a half waiting for another half to complete you. You are a whole, vast universe unto yourself, waiting to be explored. This is where true strength is born, not the brittle strength of the ego, which depends on praise and position, but the resilient, flexible strength of the spirit, which is forged in the acceptance of what is. This is why the wise have always sought the desert, the mountaintop, the silent cave, not to escape the world, but to find the strength to engage with it authentically, to meet the world from a place of fullness, not from a place of need. So how do you begin this practice? You do not need to retreat to a monastery. You can create this sacred space in the midst of your life. Start by scheduling a date with yourself. It could be an hour, a single afternoon, a full day. Mark it on your calendar as the most important appointment of the week, and when the time comes, you honor it. You turn off your phone, your computer. You inform those around you that you are unavailable. You release yourself from all obligations, except one, to be with yourself. You can walk in nature. You can sit in a quiet room. You can lie on the floor. The activity does not matter. The intention does. The intention is to be utterly and completely present, without a goal, without a task. At first, it will feel strange, even indulgent. The mind will protest, but you hold your ground gently. You are the blacksmith. You control the fire. Imagine yourself diving deep into the ocean. The surface is chaotic, full of waves, noise, and splashing. This is the normal state of the mind, but as you descend, the water becomes calmer. The noise fades. The light changes. Deeper still, you enter a realm of profound silence and pressure. It is dark, but your eyes adjust, and you begin to perceive a different kind of life, a hidden world of wondrous, self-luminous creatures. This is solitude. You must be willing to leave the familiar, chaotic surface to discover the treasures of the deep. That deep, silent place within you is your true home. It is the source of your power. When you return to it, you are recharging your very essence. You are remembering who you were before the world told you who you should be. The strength you forge here is not aggressive. It is a quiet, unshakable confidence. It is the strength to say no to what does not resonate. It is the strength to trust the whispers of your intuition over the shouts of the crowd. It is the strength to walk your new path, even if no one else understands it. And most importantly, it is this very strength, tempered in the silent forge of solitude, that you will need for the next crucial step of your journey. For now, you are no longer a leaf tossed in the wind. You are a rooted tree. And from this place of rooted power, you finally have the stability and the clarity to look at the old ropes that have kept you tethered, the heavy anchors that have kept your ship from sailing. You now have the strength to begin the necessary work of cutting them, once and for all. With the strength you have forged in silence, you now possess a tool, a tempered blade of awareness. Its purpose is not to remain ornamental, but to be used for the most crucial and courageous act on the rerouted path, the cutting of the anchors. For years, you have felt their weight, a drag on your energy, a resistance to your forward movement that you could not quite name. You have a magnificent ship, your own soul, capable of sailing across vast oceans of potential. Yet it has remained in the harbor, bobbing restlessly, unable to catch the winds of change. This is because it is tethered to the seabed by the heavy, rusted chains of the past. These anchors are not physical, they are constructs of energy and memory. They are the stories you tell yourself. Repeated so many times they have become your identity. The story of the opportunity you didn't take, the love you let go, the words you wish you had said, the words you wish you could take back, the injustice done to you, the mistake you can never forgive yourself for. Each of these stories is an anchor, and its chain is made of resentment, regret, guilt, or grief. Your ego will fight the very idea of cutting these chains. It will tell you that your resentment is justified, that your grievance is a shield protecting you from being hurt again. It whispers that to forgive is to condone what happened. to let the other person win, to declare that the pain did not matter. The ego has built a fortress around these wounds, and it mistakes this prison for a palace. It believes that holding on to the past gives it a sense of identity, a sense of righteousness. To the ego, being the one who was wronged is a powerful, if painful, role to play. But the soul knows a deeper truth. The soul knows that the poison you drink in the hopes of harming another only ever harms yourself. It knows that the shield of resentment is also a cage that blocks love, joy, and peace from entering. And it knows that forgiveness is not an act of weakness, but an act of supreme power. It is not something you do for someone else. It is something you do for yourself. It is a pragmatic, profound act of energetic sovereignty. Let us be clear. Releasing the past does not mean pretending it did not happen. It does not erase the lessons learned in the fire. It simply means you are no longer willing to carry the embers with you, burning holes in the fabric of your present moment. You cannot begin the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one. The energy you expend every day fueling old resentments and replaying old hurts is the very energy you need to build your new reality. It is your life force, your creative power, being siphoned into a black hole of what was. Cutting the anchors is a declaration that you are reclaiming your power. You are calling all of your energy home to the present moment, where it belongs. This is the only place from which you can create, the only place from which you can truly live. So, how do you perform this sacred act? It requires a ritual, a conscious, intentional ceremony to signal to yourself and to the universe that you are letting go. This is the practice of writing and releasing. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. The space you have already cultivated in your practice of solitude is perfect. Take a pen and paper. At the top of the page you might write, "I am now willing to release what no longer serves me." And then you write. You write without filter, without grammar checks, without judgment. You pour every last drop of the poison onto the page. Name the people you need to forgive. Write down what they did and how it made you feel. Do not hold back. Unleash the anger, the sadness, the bitterness. Then, and this is the most important part, you turn to yourself. You write a letter of forgiveness to the person you have been. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you made with the consciousness you had at the time. Forgive yourself for not knowing better. Forgive yourself for staying too long or for leaving too soon. Forgive yourself for betraying your own intuition. Forgive yourself for believing you were unworthy. Be as thorough and as ruthless in your compassion for yourself as you were in your accounting of the wrongs of others. This is often the heaviest anchor of all. When you are done, when you feel there is nothing left inside, you read it over one last time. You are not reading it to reignite the pain, but to honor it, to acknowledge its part in your story, and to thank it for the lessons it taught you. You are seeing it clearly, perhaps for the first time, as just a story, not as you. Then, you take this letter to a safe place. A fireplace, a fire pit, a metal bowl, and you set it on fire. As you watch the paper curl and turn to ash, you are not destroying the past. You are transforming its energy. Visualize the heavy, dense energy of the resentment and regret turning into light, into smoke and rising, returning to the neutral energy of the cosmos. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders, from your heart, from your gut. As the last embers die down, say aloud, "I am free. I reclaim my energy. I release this story. It is done." Breathe deeply. Feel the new space within you. The space that was once occupied by the ghosts of yesterday is now an empty, fertile ground for the seeds of today. Living in the past is like trying to drive a car forward while looking only in the rearview mirror. You might inch along, but you will be erratic, slow, and you will inevitably crash. You will miss the stunning landscapes opening up in front of you. You will miss the signs that are guiding you, You will miss the journey itself. Cutting the anchors is the act of turning your gaze forward. It is the decision to trust the view through the windshield more than the ghosts in the mirror. After the ritual, the change may be subtle at first. A little more lightness in your step, a little less reactivity, a moment where you would normally feel a pang of resentment, and instead there is just quiet. This quiet is the evidence of your freedom. The ship is free, the chains are lying in a heap on the ocean floor. The engine of your soul is humming with the energy you have just reclaimed. But for the first time, the ship is subject to the currents you could not feel when you were anchored. It begins to drift. There is a sense of liberation, but also a new vulnerability. A vast, unknown ocean lies ahead. You have cut the tethers to the old shore, but the new shore is not yet in sight. This is where the next stage of the journey begins. It is a stage that requires a different kind of currency, a different kind of strength. It is the journey into trust and the profound art of surrender. And so, the ship is free, the anchors are cut, and for the first time in what feels like a lifetime, you feel the vast, open water beneath you. There is a moment of pure exhilaration, a breath of profound relief, but it is swiftly followed by a new sensation, a subtle tremor of panic. The harbor, for all its confinement, was known. The anchors, for all their weight, were certain. Now, there is only the endless expanse of the ocean and the silent sky. Your mind, your beautiful, logical, terrified mind, immediately scrambles for a map, a compass, a destination. It asks, what now? Which way do we go? What is the plan? It wants to control the uncontrollable. It wants to replace the old chains with a new set of rigid coordinates. But the rerouted path does not work that way. The old tools of navigation force, control, and meticulous 5-year plans are obsolete in this new territory. You are being invited to learn a new way to sail. This is the way of trust and surrender. These two words are perhaps the most misunderstood in any spiritual journey. The ego hears surrender and equates it with giving up, with waving a white flag of defeat. It hears trust and scoffs at such a naive, passive approach to life. But this is a profound misinterpretation. Giving up is an act of despair. It is the collapse of your energy, the admission that you are powerless. Surrender, on the other hand, is an act of ultimate strength. It is the conscious, courageous decision to align your personal will with the will of the universe. It is the recognition that a wisdom far greater than your own mind is orchestrating the flow of your life. Surrender is not passivity. It is an active, dynamic state of allowing. It is saying to the cosmos, I have done my part. I have shown up. I have done the inner work. I have cut the anchors. Now, I will partner with you. I trust your current more than my own frantic paddling. This brings us to the currency of this new realm. In the material world, you use money to acquire goods and services. In the energetic realm, the primary currency is trust. Trust is the coin you use to pay for divine guidance. The catch, and the ultimate test, is that you must pay first. You do not get to see the next 10 steps of the path and then decide if you trust it. You must offer your trust into the unknown, into the void, and only then does the very next step illuminate before you. The universe does not trade in proof. It trades in faith. Your ego wants to see the entire bridge before it takes the first step. The soul knows that the bridge is built stone by stone, appearing under your feet as you dare to walk forward. Every time you choose to trust the unseen, you are making a deposit in your cosmic bank account. You are signaling to life that you are a willing participant in its grand, mysterious unfolding. Imagine you are on a great river. The ego's approach is to get in a rowboat and try to paddle upstream against the current. It is exhausting, frustrating, and ultimately futile. You are fighting the very force that is meant to carry you. Surrender is the wisdom to turn your boat around, to point it downstream, and to let the powerful current of the river carry you. This does not mean you throw your paddles away. You keep your paddle of awareness. You use it to steer gently, to navigate around the immediate rocks and obstacles that appear in your path. You are alert, present, and responsive, but you are not providing the primary propulsion. The river itself, the flow of life, is doing that. You are working in harmony with a power infinitely greater than your own muscular effort. This is active surrender. It is the fusion of conscious choice and profound trust. Or consider the farmer planting a seed. She does not plant it and then dig it up every morning to check if it is growing. She does not stand over the soil shouting, "Grow faster, show me you are working." To do so would be to destroy the very process she wishes to encourage. She plants the seed in good soil. She provides it with water and sunlight. And then she trusts. She trusts in the unseen alchemical process happening in the darkness of the earth. She knows that the seed contains the entire blueprint for the mighty tree, and that it will unfold in its own perfect time, according to laws she does not need to understand, but can only respect. Your new path is this seed. Your conscious actions and intentions are the water and sunlight. Your trust is the rich soil that allows it to germinate. Your anxiety, your need for constant proof, your desire to control the outcome, this is the frantic digging that will kill the nascent sprout. So how do you cultivate this radical trust, especially when every cell in your conditioned body is screaming for certainty? You start small. You build your trust muscle with daily low-stakes practice. Begin today. Begin with the insignificant annoyances of life. When you are stuck in traffic and late for an appointment, the ego's response is frustration, anger, a tightening in the chest. This is resistance. The practice of surrender is to take a breath, soften your body, and introduce a new thought. Perhaps there is a reason for this delay. Perhaps I am being protected from something up ahead. I will arrive at the exact moment I am meant to. I surrender this timeline to a higher wisdom. When a plan gets cancelled, instead of complaining, you can practice saying, "Interesting. What is this new, open space being created for?" When you spill your coffee, instead of cursing, you can smile and say, "An invitation to slow down." Each of these small moments is a workout at the gym of surrender. You are lifting the weight of your own resistance, and in doing so, you become stronger, more resilient, more flexible. As you practice this, you begin to notice a fundamental shift in your energy. The frantic, searching energy of the hunter begins to dissipate. It is replaced by the calm, receptive energy of the gardener. You are no longer trying to force life to give you what you want. You are creating the conditions for life to bring you what you need. This is a state of profound peace, and in this peace, your senses change. When you were tense and controlling, your perception was narrow, focused only on the goal. Now, as you soften and open, your perception widens. You become an antenna, not a battering ram. You start to notice things you missed before, the subtle synchronicities, the intuitive nudges, the quiet feelings in your body. You are attuning yourself to a new frequency, a more subtle and profound channel of communication. You are finally creating the inner silence required to hear the language the universe actually speaks, not with thunderous commands, but with gentle, persistent whispers. In the great quiet of surrender, the frantic noise of the ego begins to subside. The waters of your mind, once churned by the storm of control, become still and clear. And now that you have ceased your own frantic shouting, you have created the capacity to hear. But how does this greater intelligence speak? Do you wait for the sky to part and a voice to boom from the heavens? Do you expect a burning bush or an angelic visitation? The ego loves drama. It yearns for a sign so loud, so irrefutable, that it removes all responsibility of choice. But the universe, in its infinite wisdom and subtlety, rarely operates that way. It does not shout. It whispers. The entire art of living a rerouted life is learning to hear these whispers. This divine guidance comes not as a lightning bolt, but as a gentle nudge. It is the quiet, persistent thought that enters your mind while you are washing the dishes. It is the sudden, inexplicable urge to turn left down a street you have never explored. It is the book that falls off a shelf in a bookstore, open to a page that speaks directly to your heart. It is the sentence you overhear from a stranger's conversation that perfectly answers the question you have been holding in silence. It is the feeling of expansion and lightness in your body when you consider one choice, and the feeling of contraction and heaviness when you consider another. These are the whispers. They are quiet, mundane, and woven so seamlessly into the fabric of your everyday life that the rational mind dismisses them instantly. It calls them coincidence. It calls them random thoughts. It calls them foolish impulses. The mind is trained to look for the loud and the logical, and so it is deaf to the sacred language of subtlety. There is a divine economy to this communication. The universe is infinitely patient, but it is also efficient. It operates on a principle of escalation. Learning this principle is one of the most important things you will ever do. First, there is the whisper, a gentle nudge, a quiet intuition. Maybe you should rest today. Reach out to that old friend. This job is draining your soul. The whisper is easy to ignore. You're too busy. It doesn't make sense. It's not practical. If the whisper is ignored, the universe speaks a little louder. This is the stage of the problem. You get a cold that forces you to rest. The old friend you were prompted to call moves away. You make a significant mistake at the job you know is wrong for you. The problem is a message with more voltage. It is designed to get your attention. If you still do not listen, if you push through the problem and ignore the message, the universe is forced to shout. This is the stage of the crisis. The cold becomes pneumonia. You lose a relationship that mattered. You are laid off from your job. The crisis is a 2x4 to the side of the head. It is an event so disruptive it stops you in your tracks and forces you to reevaluate everything. It is not a punishment, it is a severe mercy. It is the universe, in its love for you, doing whatever it takes to stop you from continuing down a path that is harming your soul. Your work, on this rerouted path, is to learn to listen at the level of the whisper, to attune yourself so finely to your own intuition that you can make the course correction when it is just a gentle 1-degree turn, long before a catastrophic crash is required. To perceive the whispers is like learning to see the stars. If you stand in the middle of a brightly lit city, you can only see the moon and perhaps the most brilliant planets. The billions of other stars are invisible, washed out by the artificial glare. The city is your busy, noisy mind. To see the faint, distant stars, you must travel out into the darkness of the countryside. You must allow your eyes to adjust to the blackness. You must be patient. And then, slowly, the celestial dust of a billion faint stars begins to emerge. The silence of your mind is that dark country sky. Your patience is the adjustment of your spiritual eyes. Only in that inner quiet can the subtle light of the whispers become visible. Or think of it as listening for a particular bird's song in a dense forest. If you are crashing through the undergrowth, talking loudly, all you will hear is your own noise. To hear the bird, you must stand perfectly still. You must quiet your own breathing. You must tune your ear past the rustling of the leaves and the drone of the wind, focusing your attention until that one specific flute-like call separates itself from the background noise. This is the art of listening. It is an act of stillness, focus, and reverence. So how do you practice this art? You begin by honoring it. You create a space for it. You will keep a whisper journal. This is a notebook dedicated solely to capturing these subtle communications. Each day, either in the morning or before you sleep, You will write down any whisper you can recall, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. Did you have a recurring dream? Write it down. Did a random memory surface for no reason? Write it down. Did you feel a sudden pang of sadness when talking to someone? Write it down. Did you see the same number or symbol 3 times? Write it down. The most important rule of this practice is this: there is no analysis or judgment during the act of writing. Your rational mind will fight you on this. It will label each entry as trivial, meaningless, or silly. Your job is to act as a neutral scribe. You are simply collecting data from the field of your life. You are honoring the possibility that these small things might mean something. Over time, as you fill the pages of this journal, something magical will begin to happen. When you read back over the entries from a week or a month, you will see the patterns. You will see the repetition. You will see the undeniable thread of guidance that has been there all along. The random thought about learning pottery, dismissed at the time, will be seen next to the entry about meeting a potter a week later, and the entry about seeing a flyer for a pottery class the week after that. You are building a body of evidence that will finally convince your skeptical mind that you are not alone, that you are, in fact, being constantly guided. Listening to the whispers is the great breakthrough. It is the moment you realize the conversation with the universe is not a monologue, but a dialogue. But hearing is only the first half of the equation. A whisper that is heard but not honored is merely a beautiful sound. It is the action it inspires that gives it power. It is the discipline to follow the gentle nudge, to take the small, intuitive step that begins to pave the new path in the solid ground of your reality. The whisper has been heard. The subtle, persistent voice of your soul has broken through the noise, offering a direction, a hint, a clue. A profound sense of relief washes over you. You have guidance. But a whisper, by itself, changes nothing. A map, however accurate, has no value to the traveler who will not take a step. The space between hearing the guidance and seeing it manifest in your life is a bridge, and that bridge is built with the planks of discipline. This word, discipline, often lands with a heavy thud. It carries connotations of harshness, of deprivation, of a drill sergeant shouting in your face. We have been taught to see it as a punishment, a joyless forcing of the will. But on this rerouted path, you must dismantle that old definition and rebuild it from a foundation of truth. Let us redefine discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is devotion. It is the ultimate act of self-love. It is the choice to give your soul what it needs, rather than what your ego wants in the moment. The ego wants comfort, distraction, the path of least resistance. It wants to scroll on the phone, to eat the sugary food, to stay in the draining situation because it is familiar. The soul wants growth. It wants authenticity. It wants to experience its own potential. Discipline is the loving parent within you who says, with gentle firmness, to the crying child of your ego, I know you want the candy, but we are going to eat the nourishing meal, because I love you and I want you to be strong. Every time you choose the aligned action over the easy distraction, you are casting a vote for your future self. You are loving yourself into a new state of being. The internal conflict here is between the desire for the quantum leap and the reality of the small step. The ego, in its love for drama, craves the grand transformation. It wants to announce to the world, I am a new person, and have everything change overnight. It wants the thunderclap, not the quiet sunrise. But the universe builds with the logic of nature. A mighty oak tree does not appear overnight. It grows from a tiny acorn through countless imperceptible moments of expansion. A great canyon is not carved by a single violent flood, but by the patient, persistent flow of a river over millennia. Your new life is the oak tree. It is the canyon. It will not be created by one heroic, unsustainable burst of effort. but by an accumulation of small, consistent, devoted actions. This is where the true work lies, not in the initial flash of inspiration, but in the mundane Tuesday morning when you don't feel like it and you choose to honor your commitment anyway. The path is not paved with grand gestures, but with the humble cobblestones of daily practice. This is the great secret that the ego does not want you to know. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. A single 10-hour workout will only leave you sore and discouraged. A daily 20-minute walk will transform your health over a year. Writing 100 pages in a caffeine-fueled weekend will likely lead to burnout. Writing one single well-crafted paragraph each day will produce a novel. You are the water drop. Your consistent action is the force that wears away the stone of old habits and carves a new channel for your life to flow through. The challenge is that these small steps feel insignificant. The mind will tell you, "What's the point of meditating for only 3 minutes? It's not doing anything." Or, "What's the use of writing one sentence? You'll never finish at this rate." This is the voice of resistance, trying to pull you back into the all-or-nothing thinking that keeps you stuck. Your task is to see through this illusion. Each tiny, aligned action is a brick laid with intention. The first brick looks lonely. The first 10 bricks look like a mess. But you keep laying them, one at a time, with care and presence. And soon you have a foundation, then a wall, then a sanctuary. Each action reinforces the one before it and provides a solid footing for the one that follows. This is how you build momentum. The laws of physics and the laws of spirit are the same here. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. The hardest part is always the beginning. The first few steps require the most energy, but an object in motion tends to stay in motion. Each disciplined act you take adds a little more energy to your momentum, and it becomes easier and easier to continue. So, let us make this practical. You will not focus on the grand, intimidating goal. You will identify the atomic action, the smallest, most irreducible component of the new path. If the whisper you heard was to bring more peace into your life, your atomic action is not meditate for an hour a day. It is sit in a chair and breathe consciously 3 times. Can you do that? Yes. If the whisper was to express your creativity, your atomic action is not write a book. It is open a notebook and write 1 sentence. That is it. The goal is not the outcome. The goal is to win the day by performing the atomic action. The aim is to build a chain of consistency, to become the person who shows up day after day. By making the commitment so laughably small, you remove the possibility of failure. And on the days you feel inspired, you are free to do more. But you must, at a minimum, honor the atomic action. This is how you prove to yourself and to the universe that you are serious. This discipline does more than just build the path ahead of you. In a subtle way, the path begins to build you. The person who shows up to breathe for 1 minute every day, without fail, is fundamentally different from the person who does not. The person who honors a commitment to write 1 sentence becomes, by definition, a writer. Your identity shifts from someone who wants to do something to someone who is doing it. You are no longer waiting for inspiration to strike. You are the one generating the energy, laying the bricks, carving the stone. You are an active creator, a co-pilot of your own destiny. And this new identity, forged in the quiet fire of daily devotion, is a vessel strong enough to handle the next stage of the journey. For when you begin to walk in a new direction, when you start to build a new reality for yourself, you will inevitably stir the dust of the world you are leaving behind. You are creating a new current, and a new current creates waves. It will push against the old structures in your life, both internal and external, and you will need this newfound strength to navigate the resistance that is sure to come. And so you walk. With the devotion of quiet discipline, You have begun to lay the bricks of your new path, one small aligned step at a time. A new current of energy begins to flow through your life. But a new motion creates a new friction. A new current creates waves. It was perhaps naive to think that you could fundamentally change the direction of your life and not expect a response from the world you are leaving behind. This response has a name: resistance. It will rise to meet you from two places simultaneously, from within you and from without. And your ability to navigate this storm is the truest test of your commitment to the journey. First, let us speak of the internal resistance. Your ego, the old king of your inner world, does not abdicate his throne quietly. For years, he has ruled with the tools of fear, guilt, and limitation. Your new path, guided by the soul's whispers, is a direct threat to his entire kingdom, and so he will fight. He will unleash his palace guard, the legion of your deepest doubts. As you take a step towards peace, he will whisper, "Who do you think you are to deserve this? Remember all the mistakes you've made." As you take a step towards your creative purpose, he will shout, "You are not talented enough. You will fail and be humiliated. It is safer to do nothing." He will dredge up every past failure, every criticism you have ever received, every insecurity you possess, and parade them before you. This is not a sign that you are wrong. This is the death rattle of the false self. It is the frantic, desperate attempt of a dying paradigm to pull you back into the familiar misery of its control. The cage, even a painful one, feels safe simply because it is known. The open sky of freedom is terrifying in its vastness. The second form of resistance comes from the outside world, often from the very people you love and respect. As you begin to change, to glow with a new light, to operate from a different set of principles, you become a living, breathing challenge to their own reality. Understand this, and it will set you free. Their resistance is almost never about you, it is about them. Your newfound discipline holds a mirror up to their procrastination. Your newfound peace highlights their anxiety. Your courage to walk an authentic path illuminates their own quiet compromises. And this can be deeply uncomfortable for them. So, consciously or unconsciously, they will try to pull you back into the box you once shared. They will say things like, "You've changed," as if it were an accusation. They will say, "You're not as fun as you used to be," when what they mean is, "You no longer distract me from my own unhappiness." They will call your new passions weird, your new boundaries selfish. They are not trying to harm you. They are trying to restore the equilibrium of a system where your old, limited self played a predictable role. Your transformation destabilizes their world, and their resistance is an attempt to restore their own comfort. This is the great, painful conflict. The deep human need for belonging and approval versus the soul's non-negotiable need for authenticity. The temptation will be to shrink, to dim your light, to apologize for your growth in order to keep the peace. You will be tempted to justify, argue, defend, and explain your new path, hoping to win their understanding. But this is a battle you cannot win, and it is not your battle to fight. You do not owe anyone an explanation for the geography of your own soul. Your only duty is to be true to the guidance you have received. A ship turning its course in the water cannot help but create a wake. The size of the wake is proportional to the size of the ship and the sharpness of the turn. You are a magnificent vessel making a profound turn. Do not be alarmed by the size of the wake you are creating. It is simply a law of physics, a law of energy. The resistance is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are truly moving. It is confirmation that your discipline is working. Think of yourself as an archer preparing to shoot an arrow. To send the arrow a great distance, you must first pull the bowstring backwards. You must create tension. The further you draw the string back, the more potential energy is stored in the bow. This resistance, this pulling back against your forward momentum, is the drawing of the bow. The universe is asking you, how badly do you want this? How far do you wish to fly? Every doubt you overcome, every external criticism you release, you are pulling the string back further. You are building the tension that will eventually launch you with astonishing force. The storm is not the end of the journey. It is the necessary precursor to the breakthrough. It is the final exam before you graduate to a new level of being. So what is the practical tool for this part of the path? You cannot fight the storm. You must learn to anchor yourself within it. You will develop an anchoring mantra. This is a short, powerful, internal statement that you repeat to yourself when you feel the pull of internal doubt or the sting of external judgment. It is not for them, it is for you. It is your internal North Star in the disorienting winds. Your mantra could be as simple as, "This is my path," or "I trust this process," or "My peace is not negotiable." Choose one that resonates, that makes you feel solid and rooted. When your mind starts its litany of doubt, you take a breath and silently repeat your mantra. When a loved one makes a critical comment, you smile, you do not engage, and inside, you repeat your mantra. It is a silent declaration of your inner authority. It is you choosing to listen to the whisper of your soul over the roar of the storm. As you stand firm in this practice, you will notice something remarkable. The storm does not cease immediately, but it loses its power over you. The winds of criticism still blow, but they no longer knock you over. The waves of doubt still crash, but they break harmlessly against the hull of your newfound resolve. You are learning to be the calm center of your own hurricane. But in the midst of all this noise, the internal chatter and the external commentary, how do you know you are still on course? When the old landmarks are gone and the new shore is not yet visible, how do you navigate? The mind is now an unreliable narrator, caught in its battle with the ego. The opinions of others are a distorted reflection of their own fears. You need a compass that cannot lie. You have one. It is the most intelligent, sensitive, and truthful guidance system you will ever own. It is the barometer of your own body. In the center of the storm of resistance, when the voice of your own mind is a whirlwind of doubt and the voices of the world are a chorus of confusion, there is one compass that does not waver. There is one barometer whose needle is always true. It is the signal in the noise, the anchor in the chaos. It is your body. For too long, you have been taught to treat your body as a vehicle, a machine to be fueled with caffeine and pushed through exhaustion, its aches and pains, an inconvenience to be silenced with a pill. You have been conditioned to live from the neck up, in the abstract world of thoughts, plans, and worries, treating your physical form as a beast of burden that carries your head around. This is one of the greatest and most tragic disconnects of modern life. Today, that changes. You are being invited to come home to your body, not as its master, but as its humble and attentive student. Your mind is a brilliant strategist, but it is also a masterful liar. It can rationalize any decision. It can spin a story to justify staying in a job that is crushing your spirit, telling you it's for security. It can defend a relationship that makes you feel small, calling it loyalty. The mind is a product of its conditioning, its fears, and its past experiences. Your body, however, does not know how to lie. It is a direct, unfiltered instrument of the present moment. It is a living library that holds the truth of every experience you have ever had. Every time you said yes when your soul screamed no, your body stored that compromise as a knot of tension in your stomach. Every piece of criticism you swallowed without processing became a tightness in your throat, the clenched jaw of unspoken anger, the tightened shoulders of burdens that were never yours to carry, the chronic, deep fatigue from the constant energy leak of an inauthentic life. These are not random malfunctions. These are messages. These are the whispers of the body, which, when ignored, escalate into shouts of pain and crises of disease. The body's language is not verbal, it is sensation. Its vocabulary is composed of expansion and contraction, lightness and heaviness, warmth and coolness, energy and exhaustion. When you consider a choice that is in true alignment with your soul's path, your body responds with a subtle sense of opening, of relief, of lightness. There might be a warmth in your chest, a feeling of energy rising, a deep, easy breath. This is your body's yes. It is a full-body resonance with truth. When you consider a choice that is out of alignment, your body contracts. It feels heavy, dense, tired. Your stomach might tighten, your chest might feel constricted, your energy might drain away as if a plug has been pulled. This is your body's no. It is a visceral, unmistakable rejection of falsehood. The great conflict of this journey is learning to trust this physical data over the sophisticated arguments of your mind. Your mind can be convinced of anything. Your body cannot. It is your ultimate truth teller. Think of your body as a finely crafted musical instrument, like a cello. When you are living in alignment, when your thoughts, words, and actions are in harmony with the whispers of your soul, the strings of this instrument are perfectly tuned. The energy that flows through you, the very music of your life, is resonant, clear, and beautiful. This is the feeling of health, vitality, and flow. But when you live in a state of compromise and self-betrayal, the strings are pulled out of tune. If you are living in constant stress and anxiety, the strings are pulled too tight, creating a high-pitched, grating noise of tension and agitation. If you are living in resignation and despair, the strings are too loose, producing a dull, flat, lifeless sound of depression and fatigue. Your physical symptoms are not the problem. They are the sound of an out-of-tune instrument, alerting you that it is time to stop playing the wrong song and gently, lovingly retune your life. Or imagine your body as a sacred garden. The soil is your physical being. Your thoughts, choices, and daily actions are the seeds you plant within it. When you plant seeds of truth, self-love, and aligned action, the garden flourishes. It becomes vibrant, resilient, and full of life force. When you plant seeds of fear, resentment, and compromise, you are planting weeds. For a while, you may not notice, but eventually, the weeds begin to choke the life out of the soil, draining its nutrients, creating a landscape of dis-ease. Your body is the living earth that reflects the quality of the seeds you are planting every single day. Look to your physical state as the most accurate indicator of the health of your inner world. The path back to this wisdom is a practice of mindful listening. You must relearn the language of your body, and you do this by paying attention. Let us try a brief practice, a body scan you can do in 60 seconds, anywhere, at any time. Right now, as you are listening, bring your awareness inward. Start with your jaw. Is it clenched or soft? Let it go. Move to your tongue. Is it pressed against the roof of your mouth? Let it rest. Travel to your shoulders. Are they creeping up towards your ears? Or are they relaxed and down? Let them fall. Notice your chest. Does it feel open or tight? Scan your stomach. Is it knotted with tension, or is it soft and at ease? Finally, notice your breath. Is it shallow and high in your chest, a breath of anxiety, or is it deep and full, rooted in your belly, a breath of peace? You do not need to judge what you find. The goal is not to force relaxation. The goal is simply to notice. This act of noticing, in itself, is transformative. It is you re-establishing a line of communication with a wise and patient partner you have long ignored. By practicing this simple check-in several times a day, you begin to build a new habit. You learn to catch the subtle signals of tension before they become chronic pain. You become an expert in your own energetic state. You start to notice which people, which environments, and which conversations cause your body to contract, and which ones cause it to expand. This embodied knowledge becomes your primary navigation tool. It is more reliable than any pro and con list, more truthful than the advice of any external authority. You are now making choices not just from your head, but from the holistic wisdom of your entire being. And as you consistently choose the path of expansion and lightness, as confirmed by the barometer of your body, you begin to emit a new, energetic signal into the world. You are retuning your instrument to the key of your true self. And when you play your true song, a remarkable thing begins to happen. The universe, which recognizes this coherent, authentic frequency, starts to play along with you. The inner alignment you have cultivated begins to be reflected back to you in the outer world, in the form of meaningful coincidences and uncanny connections. The universe starts to wink at you, confirming you are right on track. As you learn to inhabit your body and trust its wisdom, a profound shift occurs. You are no longer just a mind dragging a body through the world. You are an integrated, coherent being. When the instrument of your body is tuned to the frequency of your soul, it begins to play in harmony with the grand orchestra of the universe. And the universe, hearing your clear, authentic note, begins to harmonize with you. This harmony, this interactive conversation between your inner world and the outer world, reveals itself through the phenomenon of synchronicity. A word coined by the great psychologist Carl Jung, synchronicity refers to coincidences that are so meaningful, so timely, that they feel like anything but random chance. This is the stage where the universe begins to actively wink back at you. You have a question weighing on your mind, and you walk into a cafe and hear the answer in a conversation at the next table. You think of an old friend you haven't spoken to in a decade, and your phone buzzes with their name a moment later. You are struggling with a specific problem, and you open a book at random to a paragraph that describes your exact situation with perfect clarity. You begin seeing the same number, the same symbol, the same animal over and over again in a single day. These are synchronicities. They are the moments when the veil between the energetic and the material world becomes thin, and you catch a glimpse of the hidden machinery of the cosmos. They are the unmistakable signs that you have moved from a life of random events to a life of meaningful flow. When these events begin to happen, and they will, a war begins within you. The inner skeptic, your rational mind, wages a campaign against the inner mystic, your soul. The skeptic, armed with logic and probability, will rush to explain it all away. It's just confirmation bias, it will say. You were thinking about your friend, so you just noticed their text more. Or, the human brain is a pattern recognition machine. It's looking for meaning where there is none. The skeptic's job is to keep your world safe, predictable, and confined to the known laws of cause and effect. And in its own way, it is trying to protect you. But the inner mystic, your intuition, feels something else entirely. It feels a chill run down your spine. It feels a sense of wonder, a gasp of recognition. The mystic doesn't care about statistical probability. It feels the meaning, the resonance, the undeniable sense of connection. It recognizes the wink. Your journey requires you to become a diplomat between these two forces, but to ultimately give your allegiance to the mystic. You must learn to honor the feeling of wonder over the urge to dismiss. Because synchronicity is the language of the rerouted path. These are not tests, they are confirmations. They are the road signs on the invisible highway you are traveling. When you are in alignment, living from your truth, making choices that resonate with your body and soul, the synchronicities will increase in frequency and intensity. They are the universe's way of saying, yes, that's it, you're on the right track, keep going. They are the applause from a benevolent audience you cannot see. Conversely, when you slip back into old patterns, when you let the ego take the wheel and make fear-based decisions, you will notice the synchronicities dry up. The magical flow ceases. the world feels random and mundane again. This feedback loop is one of your most precious guidance systems. It is life itself, telling you when you are in or out of alignment. Think of them as the trail of breadcrumbs on the forest floor of your journey. Each meaningful coincidence is a small, nourishing crumb, assuring you that you are not lost, that there is a path, and you are on it. Your only job is to notice the next crumb, and the next, and follow where they lead, or see them as fireflies that blink in the twilight of your uncertainty. The whole path ahead is not illuminated. You are still walking in a degree of darkness and trust, but every now and then, a beautiful, magical spark of light flashes, reminding you that there is life and enchantment in the darkness. The firefly doesn't light the whole way, but its brief appearance is enough to fill you with hope and encourage you to take the next step. So what do you do when one of these winks occurs? The old habit is to be momentarily amazed, perhaps tell a friend about the crazy coincidence, and then promptly forget it as the rational mind explains it away. The new practice is the art of acknowledgement. When a synchronicity happens, you are to treat it as a sacred event. You pause, you breathe, you let the feeling of wonder permeate your being, and then you say, "Thank you." It can be a silent thank you in your heart. It can be a whispered word to the sky. It can be a smile of recognition. You can make a special note of it in your whisper journal, perhaps with a star or a symbol next to it. Why is this so important? Because what you appreciate appreciates. By acknowledging the synchronicity, you are completing an energetic circuit. You are telling the universe, message received. I am paying attention. I am grateful for the guidance. You are moving from being a passive observer of magic to an active participant in the conversation. This simple act of gratitude strengthens the connection and invites more of these experiences into your life. You are tending to the magical garden of your reality. As you begin to live this way, the very texture of your life changes. It ceases to be a series of disconnected, random events you must struggle against. It becomes a living, breathing dialogue between you and a responsive, intelligent universe. Life is no longer something that happens to you. It happens with you and for you. The richness of this dialogue, the deep sense of belonging and support that comes from knowing you are part of a magical unfolding, begins to change your values. The old ambitions of the world, the frantic chase for more money, more status, more external validation, start to seem pale and small in comparison. The joy of being in the flow, the thrill of the next universal wink, the deep peace of knowing you are guided, this becomes the new treasure. This new, intrinsic richness inevitably makes you question the very definition of a successful life, and you realize with startling clarity that the metrics you have been using are no longer relevant to the magnificent journey you are now on. When you begin to live in this interactive dialogue with life, when the winks and whispers of the universe become your trusted companions, the old game of success begins to look absurd. You have tasted a richness that cannot be quantified in a bank account, a sense of belonging that no job title can confer. This new inner wealth makes the frantic external chase feel strangely hollow. For years, you have been measuring your worth against a scoreboard that was handed to you at birth. It is the scoreboard of society, and its metrics are clear. Your income, the prestige of your career, the size of your home, the number of accolades on your wall. We have all been taught that climbing this ladder is the primary purpose of life. But now, from this new vantage point of inner connection, you must ask the most dangerous and liberating question of all. What if the scoreboard you've been using your entire life is for a game that doesn't matter? This old paradigm of success is built on a foundation of, I will be happy when I get the promotion. I will be worthy when I make a certain amount of money. I will be lovable when I achieve a certain status. It is a system that perpetually places your peace and fulfillment in a future that never arrives. Because the moment you reach the goal, The moment you get the promotion, the ego's goalpost immediately shifts. The satisfaction is fleeting, and a new, higher goal is set. This is the great hedonic treadmill. You run and run, exhausting your life force, chasing a horizon that recedes with every step you take. The emptiness you were trying to fill with the achievement is still there, perhaps now even more pronounced in the silence after the applause has faded. This is because external success can never solve an internal problem. It is like trying to quench a deep thirst by wrapping yourself in a beautiful blanket. The blanket is nice, but it will never solve the thirst. The internal conflict that arises here is immense. It is the battle between the comfortable, praised shoes that are crippling you and the simple, unseen shoes that fit your soul perfectly. Society celebrates the designer shoes. They are impressive, they signal status, they earn you compliments. But they pinch your toes, they give you blisters, and they make it impossible to walk with a natural, easy stride. They force you to contort your very being to fit their narrow, painful shape. This is the life lived for external metrics. Then there are the humble, comfortable walking shoes. No one compliments them, no one writes articles about them, but they fit you perfectly. They support you. They allow you to walk for miles across any terrain with a feeling of freedom and joy. They allow you to forget about your feet and simply enjoy the journey. This is the life lived for internal peace. For years, you have been told the designer shoes are what you should want. The rerouted path is giving you the courage to finally take them off, regardless of what anyone else thinks, and slip your feet into the shoes that were made for you, and you alone. It is time to throw away the old scoreboard. The new definition of success is not a destination, it is a state of being. It is not what you have, it is who you are. It is not measured in acquisitions, but in alignment. The most successful person is not the one with the most possessions, but the one with the smallest gap between their true self and the life they are living. Success is the measure of your freedom. How free do you feel in your own skin? Success is the measure of your peace. How much of your day is spent in a state of calm acceptance versus anxious striving? Success is the measure of your vitality. How much life force, how much joy flows through you on any given day? Success is no longer about climbing a ladder, it is about dissolving the ladder and learning to fly. To make this real, you must create your own scoreboard. You are now the one who defines the metrics. You are creating your own personal definition of a well-lived life. Let's call these your internal success indicators, or ICEs. Take a moment, now or after this, to sit quietly. Ask yourself, what states of being do I truly value most? Perhaps the answers are peace, creativity, connection, vitality, freedom, or love. Choose the 3 to 5 that resonate most deeply. Now, for each of these, create a simple, measurable indicator. It is not about judging yourself, but about gently steering yourself, day by day, back to your own true north. For example, if you chose peace, your ICE might be, did I consciously connect with my breath today? Or did I spend time in silence? If you chose creativity, your IC could be, did I write one sentence that was true? Or did I notice the beauty in something mundane? If you chose connection, it might be, did I listen to someone without planning my response? Or did I have a heartfelt laugh? At the end of each day or each week, you can check in with your personal ICs, not to give yourself a grade, but to take a loving inventory. Where was I in alignment this week? Where did I feel the most peace? What choices led to that feeling? This practice radically shifts your focus. You stop obsessing over what you haven't yet achieved in the external world and start celebrating the inner richness you are cultivating. You realize that feeling a deep sense of peace for 10 minutes is a greater success than closing a business deal that left you feeling drained and empty. You understand that a moment of authentic connection with a loved one is worth more than 1,000 superficial likes on social media. You are taking the power back. You are defining the game, and therefore you can finally win. When you live from this new definition of success, your entire orientation to life transforms. You are no longer operating from a place of lack, hustling and striving to prove your worth and fill an inner void. You are now operating from a place of fullness, seeking only to maintain and deepen your state of inner alignment and peace. Your actions in the world are no longer desperate attempts to get something. Instead, they become a natural and effortless expression of the state you are already in. When you are full, you naturally overflow. And this overflow is not labor, it is not a struggle. It is the joyful, unforced expression of your authentic self. This is the power of true creation, born not from the need to achieve, but from the simple, profound impulse of the soul to express itself. When you unhook yourself from the world's definition of success, when your primary aim shifts from acquiring to being, a vast reservoir of energy becomes available to you. This is the energy that was once consumed by worry, by striving, by comparing yourself to others, and by the exhausting performance of being someone you are not. Now, this reclaimed life force needs somewhere to go. It will not lie dormant. It will seek to express itself. This natural, joyful expression is the essence of authentic creation, and it is fundamentally different from what you have been taught to call work. For most of your life, you have operated under the paradigm of work. Work is born from a sense of lack. You work because you need to. You need money, you need security, you need approval, you need to prove your worth. The energy behind it is one of pushing, forcing, and striving. It is a transaction. You give your time and life force, and you get a result, a paycheck, a promotion. Work drains. At the end of a day of work that is not aligned with your soul, you feel depleted, tired, and empty. Creation, however, is born from a sense of fullness. You create not because you need something, but because you have something inside of you that demands to be expressed. It is an overflow of your being. The energy behind it is one of allowing, of channeling, of joyful unfolding. It is a transmission. You are a conduit for an energy that flows through you, and in the process, it energizes you. At the end of a day of authentic creation, you may be physically tired, but you feel spiritually alive, vibrant, and more yourself than before. A deep, ancestral fear will surface as you contemplate this shift. It is the fear of not struggling. We are so deeply conditioned by the belief that value is tied to effort and suffering that if something feels easy, joyful, and energizing, it cannot possibly be productive or sustainable. If I stop the hard work, the hustle, the struggle, the ego cries, everything will fall apart. I will not survive. This is the voice of a paradigm built on lack. It cannot comprehend the logic of the universe, which is built on flow. The universe does not reward your struggle, it rewards your alignment. It does not support your suffering, it supports your joy. Trusting this is a radical act. It is the decision to believe that your joy can be your contribution, that your aliveness can be your livelihood, and that the universe will conspire to support the fullest expression of the soul it has created. Your role in this new paradigm is not to be the originator, but to be the channel. This is a crucial distinction that liberates you from the immense pressure of the ego. The ego believes it must be the brilliant, singular genius. It must come up with everything on its own. It feels the crushing weight of needing to be original and perfect. The soul knows it is a vessel. It knows that a vast universal intelligence is the true source of all creativity. Your job is not to think up the creation. Your job is to keep your channel clear so that the creation can flow through you. How do you keep the channel clear? By doing all the work we have discussed, by sitting in stillness, by decoding your discomfort, by shedding the false self, by staying in the present moment, by honoring your body's wisdom. This inner work is the sacred task of the Creator. It is you polishing the inner lens so the light can shine through unimpeded. Think of an ancient underground spring. The spring does not struggle or strain to reach the surface. It does not attend seminars on how to be a better spring. It simply is. It follows the natural contours of the earth, rising through the path of least resistance until it bubbles up effortlessly and gives its cool, clear water to the world. Your soul's creative impulse is this spring. Your fears, your doubts, your limiting beliefs, your need for perfection, these are the rocks and debris that block its path. Your work is not to force the water, but simply to remove the rocks. Once the channel is clear, the flow is natural and inevitable. Or imagine a healthy apple tree. The tree is not anxious about its apple production. It does not work hard to make apples. It simply stands in its essence. It draws nourishment from the sun, the rain, and the soil. It deepens its roots. It grows its branches. And the apples appear as a natural, unforced, glorious expression of its healthy, aligned being. The apples are not the tree's job. They are the overflow of its aliveness. Your authentic creations are your apples. They are the natural fruit of your aligned and nourished soul. To make this practical, you must broaden your definition of what it means to be creative. This power is not reserved for painters, musicians, and poets. Creativity is not a specific activity. It is a sacred approach to any activity. You can be a creative cook, infusing your meals with love and presence. You can be a creative gardener, collaborating with the earth to bring forth life. You can be a creative parent, listening to your child with such deep attention that you create a space for their soul to feel seen. You can write code with a creative elegance that feels like poetry. You can organize a chaotic project with a creative clarity that brings peace to a team. The medium does not matter. The only thing that matters is the energy you bring to the act. Are you bringing the energy of presence, of love, of joy in the process itself? If so, you are in a state of creation. Your task is to identify your mediums. What activities, however humble, allow you to lose track of time and feel connected to something larger than yourself? Find them, honor them, and engage with them, not as chores or jobs, but as sacred acts of creation. When you live this way, your life itself becomes your greatest masterpiece. You are no longer just building a career. You are building a life from the materials of your own soul. The separation between work and play, between sacred and mundane, begins to dissolve. Every action, when done from a place of presence and alignment, becomes an opportunity for creation. And this act of creation, this overflow of your authentic being, has a profound effect. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take releases an energetic signature into the world. A creation born from fear and lack sends out a ripple of contraction. A creation born from love and fullness sends out a ripple of expansion. This is not a metaphor, it is a law of physics. The energy you emit is a cause that will always have an effect. It is a sound that will always have an echo. This immutable law of energetic cause and effect, the great feedback loop of the cosmos, has a name. It is karma. And it is not a system of punishment, but your most powerful and impartial teacher. Every act of creation you perform, every word you speak, every thought you entertain, is more than just a fleeting event. It is a pulse of energy. It is a cause. And this energetic ripple, sent out from the center of your being into the vast, interconnected web of the cosmos, is governed by an immutable law of the universe. This law is known as karma. No spiritual concept has been more misunderstood, more distorted, or more used as a tool of fear than this one. So let us, here and now, dismantle the fearful, cartoonish version of karma that has been used to control and intimidate, and replace it with the profound and empowering truth of what it truly is. Karma is not a cosmic judge. It is not a bearded deity in the sky keeping a meticulous ledger of your good and bad deeds, preparing to dispense rewards and punishments in this life or the next. This is a human projection, born of our own primitive systems of crime and punishment. The universe is infinitely more intelligent and elegant than that. Karma is not a moral law, it is a physical law. It is as neutral, as impersonal, and as reliable as the law of gravity. What goes up must come down. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The energy you emit will, in some form and at some time, return to you. It is the universe's perfect and compassionate feedback system. It is the great echo of your own energy. The ego, hearing this, immediately panics about the past. It rummages through its vast archives of memory and pulls out every mistake, every unkind word, every selfish act you have ever committed. It asks, am I forever condemned by my past? Am I chained to a karmic debt that I can never repay? This fear is the source of immense guilt and a paralyzing sense of fatalism. But this, too, is a misunderstanding. The point of power is always and only now. While the echoes of past actions may still be arriving in your present, you are not a prisoner to them. In this very moment, you have the absolute freedom to choose the energy you emit. You can, right now, send out a new signal. You can sing a new song into the canyon. You have the power to create new karma in every single breath. Your past does not define your destiny. The energy you choose to embody in the present moment is what shapes your future. The most profound reframe you can make is to see karma not as your judge, but as your most intimate and honest teacher. Life, through the law of karma, is a perfect mirror. It does not judge the face it reflects. It simply shows it to you with unflinching accuracy. If you consistently send out energy of anger and resentment, the mirror of your life will reflect back situations and people that trigger more anger and resentment. If you send out energy of love and generosity, the mirror will reflect back experiences of love and abundance. If you do not like the reflection you are seeing in the mirror of your life, is it wise to get angry at the mirror, to try and break it? Or is it wiser to change the expression on your own face? The events of your life are not happening to you. They are responding to you. They are the curriculum designed by your own energy for the purpose of your own awakening. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a great canyon. If you shout insults, profanity, and words of hatred into the canyon, what do you hear back? The echo of your own ugliness. The canyon is not punishing you. It is not judging you as a bad person. It is simply operating according to its nature, faithfully returning the sound waves it received. If, instead, you sing a beautiful song, a melody of love and harmony, what does the canyon echo back? It returns your own beauty, amplified by the vastness of the space. The world is this great canyon. It does not have a personal opinion of you. It is a neutral amplifier, a perfect echo chamber for the energy you choose to broadcast. When you are living in alignment, when you are creating from a place of love and authenticity, you naturally and automatically create good karma, because the song you are singing is beautiful. Or think of yourself as a gardener in the field of your life. Your thoughts, intentions, and actions are the seeds you plant each day. You cannot plant seeds of thistle and expect to harvest strawberries. You cannot sow the seeds of impatience, judgment, and fear and expect a harvest of peace, connection, and trust. The harvest you are experiencing in your life right now is the direct result of the seeds you have been planting in the past. But this realization is not a cause for despair. It is a cause for empowerment. For in this moment, you hold a fresh bag of seeds. You can choose, right now, to begin planting something new. You can choose to plant seeds of kindness, of forgiveness, of presence, of trust. and you must trust that, in time, a new harvest will come. To make this a living practice, you can begin a simple but profound exercise: the energy check-in. Before you act, before you speak, before you send that email or make that post, take a half-second to pause. Ask yourself one question: what is the energy behind this? Is this action being fueled by love or by fear? By a sense of abundance or a sense of lack? Is it coming from a place of trust or a need to control? Is it an act of expansion or an act of contraction? You do not need to judge the answer. Simply notice. This small pause, this moment of conscious awareness, is revolutionary. It makes you the conscious gatekeeper of the energy you release into the world. You are no longer an unconscious broadcaster of your conditioned reactions. You are becoming a conscious creator of the karma you wish to experience. When you truly integrate this understanding, it sets you free. Karma is not a chain. It is the very tool of your liberation. It is the steering wheel, not the prison bars. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and realize you are the powerful creative center of your own life. You are no longer haunted by the past, nor fearful of the future, because you know that the quality of your present moment energy is the only thing that truly matters. This frees you from the linear, goal-oriented mindset that believes life is a race to a final destination called perfect enlightenment or a clean, karmic slate. You realize that there is no finish line. There is only the beautiful, continuous, unfolding dance of cause and effect, of sending and receiving, of planting and harvesting. The point is not to one day arrive. The point is to learn to dance with this fundamental law of life, to embrace the magnificent, mysterious, and ever-unfolding path that you are creating with every single choice. When you understand karma not as a sentence but as a dance, not as a chain but as a feedback loop, you are set free from the past and liberated from the fear of the future. You stand in the eternal now, holding the seeds of this moment, knowing that this is the only point of power you will ever have. This realization is the key that unlocks the final gate, leading you out of the prison of linear thinking and into the open, expansive field of mystery. Our society is addicted to destinations. It has sold you a myth since the day you were born, the myth of arrival. The idea that life is a problem to be solved, a race to be won, and that somewhere up ahead there is a finish line. When you cross it, you will finally have earned the right to be happy, peaceful, and whole. This finish line might be called retirement, or enlightenment, or finding your soulmate, or achieving your dream. We spend our entire lives striving toward this point on the horizon, believing that the journey is merely a difficult and necessary prerequisite for the joy of arrival. But this is the greatest illusion of all. There is no final destination. There is no happily ever after where all challenges cease and all questions are answered. Life is not a problem to be solved. It is a mystery to be lived. It is not a race to be won. It is a beautiful, unfolding dance to be savored. The process of being rerouted is not about guiding you to a new and better destination. It is about teaching you to fall in love with the journey itself. It is about learning how to walk. The ego despises this truth. The ego is a project manager. It needs a 5-year plan, a detailed map, a set of guaranteed outcomes. Uncertainty feels like death to the ego because in the unknown, it cannot control anything. It will scream for you to find a system, a guru, a dogma, anything that will promise you a predictable result. It wants to know the entire story before it will agree to live it. But the soul, your true nature, thrives in the mystery. The soul is an explorer. It is invigorated by the unknown. It delights in the surprise of what lies around the next bend. It knows that the most beautiful experiences in life are always the ones that could never have been planned. The true path, the one your soul is calling you to, is not a highway that has been paved for you. It does not exist on any map. It is a path that materializes out of the mist of potential, appearing beneath your feet with each conscious step you take. You are not finding the path, you are creating it as you walk. It is a co-creation between your devoted presence and the responsive intelligence of the universe. This is why you can never see more than a few steps ahead. This requires a profound letting go. It requires that you abandon the need to know and instead cultivate the capacity to trust. Imagine you are walking through a dense, quiet fog. You can only see 10 feet in front of you. The anxious planner in your mind panics. This is dangerous. I can't see where I'm going. I need to see the end of the road. But the wise traveler within you knows the truth. 10 feet is all the visibility you need. As long as you can see the next 10 feet, you can successfully journey 1,000 miles. Your only task is to be fully present in that small, illuminated circle of awareness, to take the next step with care and attention. As you move forward, the circle of light moves with you, constantly revealing just enough of the path for you to continue. This is how the rerouted life unfolds. You are given just enough light for the step you are on. It is an invitation to bring all of your focus, all of your love, all of your being, right here to this single sacred step. Or think of the path as the horizon. The horizon is a beautiful, orienting principle. It gives you a direction. It pulls you forward. But you can walk your entire life towards the horizon, and you will never arrive. The moment you move, it moves with you. Is the journey a failure? Because you never reached the destination. Number. The entire purpose of the horizon was to inspire you to walk, to explore, to grow, to live. The beauty was never in the arriving. It was always in the walking. Your soul's deepest desires for peace, for love, for expression are your horizon. They give your life direction and meaning, but they are not endpoints to be achieved. They are qualities to be embodied more and more deeply with every step you take. To live this truth requires a fundamental shift in the questions you ask yourself. You must discard the great question of the ego, where will I be in 5 years? This question, though it sounds practical, is an engine of anxiety. It pulls you out of the only place where life exists, the present moment, and throws you into a fantasy world of speculation and fear. You must replace it with the great question of the soul. How fully can I inhabit this single step? This is the great pivot. It is the shift from future obsession to present devotion. When you focus all of your energy on the quality of your present moment, on the quality of your breath, on the quality of your intention, the future takes care of itself in ways more magnificent than your mind could ever have planned. You are tending to the cause and letting the universe manage the effect. As you embrace this, you let go of the fight. You stop trying to force life into the narrow container of your desires. You become a dancer, moving in fluid response to the music of the moment. Some notes are high, some are low. The tempo is sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but it is all part of the same beautiful song. You learn to savor the sweetness of the joyful moments and appreciate the depth of the sorrowful ones. You are no longer in a hurry. Where is there to hurry to? You are already here, in the only moment that has ever been or ever will be. You are finally home. And in this homecoming, in this deep acceptance of the unfolding mystery, one final layer of illusion is ready to dissolve. You have learned to see yourself as the traveler on the path. You have learned to trust the path as it appears before you. But what if there is an even deeper truth? What if the separation between the traveler and the path is the final illusion? What if the one who walks and the way itself are not two but one and the same? We have walked a long way together on this path. We have navigated the noise, the stillness, the resistance, and the flow. We have seen that the journey is not a straight line, but an unfolding mystery. And now we arrive at the final turn inward, the place where the path seems to disappear under our very feet. It is here that we must face the last and most subtle illusion, the illusion that there is a traveler, a you, who is separate from the path being traveled. For the final truth of this entire journey, the secret that was hidden in plain sight all along, is this. The guide, the traveler, and the path are not three things. They are one, and you are it. For this entire time, we have spoken of your journey. We have spoken of the whispers of the universe guiding you home. We have spoken of life rerouting you. This language was necessary. It gave the mind a structure to grasp, a story to follow. And every story needs a protagonist. The protagonist of this story has been you, the you who was lost, the you who was in pain, the you who was learning, growing, and healing, the you who was courageously seeking your true path. But this you, this separate seeker, this heroic traveler, is the final ghost we must allow to dissolve into the light. Because this you is a construct of the mind, a bundle of memories, beliefs, and sensations that you have learned to call me. The ultimate rerouting is not from one path to another, but from identifying with this limited character to realizing you are the author of the entire story. The guidance you received, those whispers in the quiet moments, the synchronicities that winked at you from the fabric of reality, where did they come from? You have been encouraged to see them as coming from a benevolent, external universe. But now you are ready for a deeper truth. That intelligence, that guiding wisdom, was not external. It was the voice of your own deepest essence, the consciousness that lies beneath the noisy surface of your personality. The universe was not guiding you from the outside. Your own inner universe was guiding you from the inside. You were listening to yourself all along. The path that appeared before you, the trail of breadcrumbs, the next illuminated step in the fog. What was it? It was not a road laid down by another. The path was the very unfolding of your own consciousness. Each choice, each breath, each moment of awareness was the path. It was not something you were on, it was something you were. Imagine you are a wave on the surface of the ocean. As a wave, you have a unique identity. You have a beginning and an end. You can be big or small. You can feel tossed about by the wind. You can crash violently upon the shore. You can feel separate from all the other waves, sometimes lonely, sometimes in competition. This is the life of the separate self, the traveler. But the entire time, you were never just a wave. You were, and are, the entire ocean. The wave is simply a temporary form that the ocean is taking. The ocean is not afraid of the storm. The ocean is not harmed when a wave breaks. The ocean knows its own vast, deep, unchangeable peace, even while its surface is in motion. The journey of being rerouted is the process of the wave remembering that it is the ocean. You are not the temporary form of your life story. You are the vast, eternal ocean of being from which all life stories arise. Or think of yourself as a single sunbeam traveling through space. As a sunbeam, you might believe you are on a quest to find the light. You might seek out sources of illumination. You might fear the darkness and the shadows. You might feel small and vulnerable on your long journey. This is the quest of the seeker. The final awakening is the sunbeam's sudden, self-evident realization that it is not separate from the sun. It is a direct extension of the sun. It is the light it was seeking. It doesn't need to find light. Its very nature is light. You do not need to seek guidance, peace, or love from an outside source. You are the source of these qualities. They are the very fabric of your true nature. The ego, the sense of a separate me, will hear this and may feel a profound terror. This sounds like annihilation. If I am not the traveler, if I am not my story, if I am not this unique bundle of memories and personality traits, then who am I? This is the ego's last stand, the fear of its own dissolution. But what is dissolving is not you. It is only a case, a shell, an illusion of limitation. Nothing real is ever lost. What is true? What is eternal? Your fundamental nature as pure awareness is simply recognized. It is not an ending, but an expansion into the boundless reality of who you have always been. It is the dropping of an immense weight you never even realized you were carrying, the burden of being a small, separate self, fighting for its survival in a vast and indifferent world. This leads to the final practice, which is not a practice of doing, but of being. It is a simple, silent contemplation. Rest in this awareness. I am the consciousness in which this entire journey is unfolding. Feel that. You are the silent, spacious awareness that was present when you felt lost. You are the awareness that perceived the whispers. You are the awareness that felt the pain of resistance and the joy of flow. You are the awareness in which the character of the traveler arose and played its part. This awareness itself was never lost. It was never broken. It never needed rerouting. It has been here the entire time, changeless, peaceful, and whole, witnessing the entire drama of your life with unconditional love. This is your true home. This is the destination that was never a destination because you never, ever left it. The search is over. The rerouting is complete. Not because you have arrived at a new place, but because you have realized that the place you were seeking is the very ground upon which you have always stood. You were looking for the treasure, not realizing you are the treasure chest, the treasure, and the entire map. The journey was simply the beautiful, intricate, and divinely orchestrated process of you, remembering you. The traveler has dissolved into the path. The seeker has merged with the sought. The wave has remembered the ocean. Welcome home. We began this journey together with the image of a traveler, lost in a dense and silent fog, their compass spinning uselessly in their hand. There was a sense of quiet panic, of being profoundly adrift. Let us return to that traveler now, but see them through new eyes. The fog has not lifted. The uncertainty of life, the mystery of what lies ahead, remains. But the traveler is no longer afraid. They have put the broken compass away. They have learned that the purpose of the fog was never to torment them, but to force them to stop looking outside for the way forward. Its gift was the invitation to look inward. The traveler now understands that their own heart is the true compass, that the feeling of resonance in their body is the needle that always points north. They know that their own feet create the path with every step, and that they only ever need enough light for the step they are on. The traveler is at peace in the mystery, no longer a victim of it, but a conscious participant in its unfolding. This traveler is you. You have learned that the feeling of being lost was not a sign of your failure, but the first whisper of your soul's rescue. It was a sacred intervention, a grace designed to pull you from a path that was not yours, a life that was too small for the truth of who you are. The burnout, the emptiness, the quiet ache in the dead of night, these were not curses. They were the unerring symptoms of a life lived out of alignment, a compassionate alarm system calling you to come home to yourself. The power you have discovered on this journey is not a new power you have acquired. It is the ancient power that has been within you all along, buried under years of conditioning, fear, and noise. You have not been given a new strength. You have simply uncovered the unbreakable strength that is your birthright. You have not been given a map. You have learned to read the one that is written on the landscape of your own being. Do not believe, even for a moment, that your journey begins tomorrow. Do not fall for the illusion that you must now go out and start this work. The very fact that you have walked this path, that you have listened to these words, that some part of you has resonated with this truth, is the only evidence you need. It is the undeniable proof that the rerouting is already underway. The great shift has already begun within you. It is happening now, in this breath, in this moment of quiet recognition. The work is not to begin, but simply to continue choosing the gentle whisper over the loud distraction, to continue honoring the quiet wisdom of your body, to continue trusting the path as it appears before you. The search is over, not because you have found all the answers, but because you have finally let go of the questions. Trust the unfolding. Trust the path.